Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Tom Bilyeu Show live. I'm joined by my co-host, Drew, as always.
What's up, man?
Good morning.
Happy
We've
Wednesday.
got Mason on the community. We've got Eric, but I don't see G. So it looks like we got a limited crew today. But I have no doubt Eric is going to hold down the fort and everything's going to be just fine. Unless, of course, you live in Israel or Gaza, because the ceasefire has been broken. At least 100 people are dead. The Biden auto pen scandal is gaining new momentum. The government shutdown continues, but the question is, what happens when SNAP benefits expire? We've got people like Rudyard Lynch that are making some bold predictions about how unstable things could get. Speaking of unstable, a British man was stabbed to death by an immigrant in the UK. Elon is now predicting that civil war will break out in the UK. He says it's only a matter of time. Let's hope that that's not correct. The labor market appears to be weakening as AI optimizations are blamed for massive layoffs. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but we're talking tens of thousands of people getting laid off. It is wild. We covered this before, but Amazon is talking about laying off something like 600,000 workers by 2033, I believe, is the date. Chamath Palihapitiya is saying that he thinks this is a DEI final liquidation sale. That seems a little crazy to me, but we will see in the final analysis. I think ultimately this really is about the AI technology, even just seeing how much it's impacted us here at Impact Theory. It's real. So brace yourselves, everybody. Brazil has gone to war with drug traffickers inside of their own country. If you guys haven't seen the footage, it's pretty wild. That'll be interesting to see how quickly they get that under control. And I can't believe this is true. I'm actually really interested in this, but we should find out today if aliens are visiting us, as 3I Atlas is headed towards, I don't know if it's technically headed towards Earth, but certainly our sun. And according to physicist Michio Kaku, who's actually been on Impact Theory, if it gains energy as it goes around the sun, then we know for sure that this is a sign of intelligent life. So that's wild. If that's actually going to happen today, we're going to find out. Let's see. Let's see, everybody. So, all right, welcome, Drew. How goes it? I think you're traumatized by what's happening in Israel, Gaza.
It was just, we were celebrating, taking victory laps.
Yeah.
We were like, hey, how come he didn't get the peace prize? Where's the peace prize? And then Israel's like, hold my beer, we're not done yet.
This one is too fragile. I don't, until like reconstruction begins and all the lines have like moved all the way back, I'm not going to believe it. This is a microcosm of an ideological battle that is going to play out across a lot more places now than just Israel and Gaza. So yeah, this one's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah. For those that are playing catch up right now, IDF soldiers were allegedly attacked in Rafah by Hamas, prompting Benjamin Netanyahu to then launch a series of airstrikes on Tuesday. Israel military, now I'm reading Marjorie Taylor Greene's tweet, Israel's military said Wednesday that the ceasefire was now back on, but after it killed 104 people, including 46 children, according to local health officials. 46 children. Are these not war crimes? And this is her retweeting an Associated Press article. Originally, the account was 60 people killed, but then as death tolls and things started ticking up overnight, we realized that it was closer in the hundreds. So
yeah, this is, look, what are people trying to get at with the constant, is this war crimes? So when you are wholesale slaughtering people, does it really matter if we call it a war crime or not? The honest answer is, on a global stage, the only thing that matters is, do you have power? If you have power, you can do whatever the hell you want, including drop nuclear bombs, which, as we know, America has done. And we're the only ones who've done it. So, and yet, you just move forward. And you have Trump in Japan getting along very well with the very people that we dropped these bombs on. So this is a game of power, and I don't say that to diminish any of the moral repugnance of what's happening. I say it in the hopes that people can really start looking at this stuff clear-eyed, get out of just moralizing and get into, okay, we're in the situation that we're in, and so how do we get to the other side of it? Like really, 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 when you have the situation that you have, what is the policy? What is the things you want to see people do to actually make all of this go away? And I think the only thing that's going to make this go away is for the closest thing I've seen is the Abraham Accords to get everybody focused on economic alliances, to get people to understand that you can make life better right now, today, for you and your family, that your kids' lives can be way, way better than yours as measured by economics. And it is the only thing that has worked on a historical time frame. And when economics collides with religious ideology, you get this intractable problem, or so it seemed. So the progress on the Abraham Accord side is the only thing that is interesting to me. So if you can actually get an Arab police force on the ground in Gaza to get all of this settled down, that to me, and I said this before, that to me would be historic. I don't care who gets credit for it. That would be insanely historic. So fingers crossed that we can actually get to that point. But listen, man, I don't know if you've been watching the footage of the Hamas, presumably Hamas street soldiers grabbing Palestinians and breaking their legs with pipes. Mm-hmm. It is so wild to watch. Or the execution squads. Like we're so far from settling this down that unfortunately, I think any sort of surface level peace is a mirage.
It's sad that we're here. Again, jokes aside, like we really just want the war to end. So I just hope that we come to a resolution sooner.
I want it to end for sure. And I love that you're saying something kind, because I even map to myself. I look at this stuff and I see political calculations of, okay, the grand sweeping arc of history, which never tells the story of the individual tragedy. Mm-hmm. And a single death is a tragedy. 1 million deaths is a statistic, and I really am sort of up at the statistics level looking at this. So it is good that you remind us of the tragedy at the human level. Mm-hmm. But for us to make sense of what's happening in this moment, I think because it isn't just happening in Israel, Gaza, there's a reason this is a flashpoint. There's a reason what would otherwise be this sort of small local conflict has these worldwide implications, because there are far more people dying in Russia, Ukraine. People just don't care about it the way that they care about Israel, Gaza. There are other places in the world where there's far more people dying, even with religious problems. Is it Nigeria that killed over the last 10 years 500,000 Christians? Like there's plenty of religious and ethnic death happening in the world, but this particular flashpoint just really captures people's imaginations for reasons that we can tease out one by one if people care. But we have to reconcile with this collision of, you have a Western style nation in the Middle East that has thrived economically. They have a neighbor that they have oppressed to death because they're afraid that they're going to be attacked, obviously for good reason. But then that also creates more people that want to attack them. And so you've got this situation that people rightly liken to the end of slavery, where it's like, well, we kind of fucked these people over for a really long time. And if we give them their freedom, aren't they just going to come and attack us? And so how you get this one to end well when on top of that setup, because that obviously isn't how things played out at the end of slavery. They went about their economic business and were like, okay, cool, we've got our freedom. Let's actually do something with it. Then what you see now is there isn't, from Hamas, I cannot speak in any way, shape, or form about the general Palestinian people. I just don't feel like I know enough. But from Hamas, they have an ideological battle that they're waging, and they're not going to let it go. So now it becomes, are you actually going to be able to broker peace without what I think is going to play out? I think a consortium of Arab states are going to come in with a police force and hammer the living shit out of Hamas, and however much that spills into the average Palestinian that may or may not be supporting them. So that Israel isn't the one doing it, and so that the Arab world can be like, hey, we have to march into the 21st century. The oil dollars are going to run out. We have to be something else. And if we don't have stability, if we cannot attract capital, then we're going to be dealing with this forever. Mm-hmm. we've played the clip before, so I'll just summarize it here. But there was a guy in like the cabinet of either the UAE or I forget exactly what nation state, but in the Middle East. And he says, listen, Europe, you guys are going to give birth to the next set of Islamist extremists. It's not going to be us because we understand what this is. You guys don't. And I thought that was extremely prophetic. He said that like back in 2013 or something. I mean, it was a while ago. And so I really believe that the general vibe, very complex, but the general vibe in the Middle East is, okay, we've got to diversify economically. And that desire to diversify economically, to become a stable place where capital flows into, to get capital investments from around the world, the country that attracts the most foreign capital wins. And so it isn't just about getting the capital from within your own country. You've got to show stability. You've got to show a willingness to let people make money. You've got to show that you're economically powerful. And they've got this just glowing problem between Israel and Gaza. And I don't think they're coming down on the side of Israel. I think they're coming down on the side of economics. And so if they can challenge that as they're not going to be a united force, but as a loosely aligned consortium, if they can make a stand there, make a stand against Iran, okay, religious fundamentalism, that's really the stance, then I think you can make progress. If you don't do that, you will be in this death loop forever.
Yeah, we shall see. And speaking of death loop, I feel like we are amiss that we have to talk about this government shutdown. And more importantly,
are we really saying the community had nothing to say about all that?
I was about to say. So
there's no
one
way.
thing from Frank2222, they said, Tom, you may not want to excuse it, but you sure seem to. This should outrage you, and all I hear is it's a populist moment, or in power, you can do whatever
What are
the
we
hell
talking
you
about?
want.
Which thing?
This is talking about
The strikes from
leadership around the Israel-Gaza stuff.
He just wants me to be emotionally outraged?
I believe so.
Okay. I'm not worried like that. So,
Facts.
yeah, sorry. Not what's on offer.
That's the main thing in the community. You can move on.
See, y'all should trust me more.
No,
Trust me a little bit more.
I like to deal with this stuff head on. So, and I'm not saying that I never get emotionally outraged, but I am saying that it will be few and far between.
It's a developing story, so I wanted to just make sure we acknowledge the elephant in the room that is Benjamin Netanyahu. But of course,
But do you really think this is just a Benjamin Netanyahu problem? Like, get rid of Benjamin Netanyahu and problem goes away?
I feel like that's what we've done in Middle Eastern and other regime changes. We're trying to do that in Venezuela right now.
It never works, and they shouldn't do it in Venezuela either. Because here's what happens. You have a problem. These people are bottom-up leaders. They're not top-down. You don't have Benjamin Netanyahu as a person who creates the problem. You have a problem, and Benjamin Netanyahu rises to the top in that moment. In the same way that Trump is not some tremendous leader that has moved us into a populist era. He is a populist leader that could only come to power in a moment like this. And so once you understand a moment like this is the thing to focus on. Like, what are all the underlying things that drive this? This is why it drives me nuts when people aren't talking about the economic problems. I feel so sad. This is as close as I'll be able to give people moral outrage. I feel so sad. Like today, there's a comedian guy, I forget his name, very funny. I retweeted it, so it'd be easy enough to find. But he was like, I'm against any politician who billionaires are for. And so I'm supporting Mamdani. And I'm just like, oh my God, the one thing guaranteed to make your problems worse. Because he was like, we can have a better world. Yes.
Here it is.
Yes, you can have a better world. The bad news is you have to fix the economy if you want said better world. And guess who's going to make the economy worse? Just going to the mathematics of how economies work. Zoran Mamdani. So I get it. I love that you feel a connection to the working man. That's amazing. But the reality is...
Okay. I was trying to save this and bury this a little bit. But I feel like we keep saying that Mamdani is going to make the economy worse
Yes.
when we are losing 1 million jobs. The stock market is being propped up
Yes.
by 7.5 companies.
Yes.
So it's not like the economy is humming and Donald Trump is just
true.
rolling it in. So it's like, to your very same point, let's see the symptoms that brought Mamdani into power and gave him this rise versus saying he's going to be the boogeyman in the corner.
Okay, so if I could show you that the policies that make this happen are like, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, they're like a 7, and Mamdani is a 10 of the same exact policy, can we agree that we at least understand why I'm saying this is going to be worse?
If you can tell me that Trump's impact will be a 7 and Mamdani's impact will be a 10, then I would say it will be worse. That was the question.
Yes.
Yes.
It was slightly different than that, but that's close enough.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So all of this comes down to in 1913, you passed the Federal Reserve Act, which gave the government the ability to print money, which meant printing money simply means I can take money from everyone in the country at will for any reason without passing any sort of legislation. Okay. Once people understand it as that, it is mathematically, it is government sanctioned counterfeiting. So we all agree counterfeiting is bad, but for some reason, when we let the government do it, we go, that's cool. And the great news is we've run the experiment, because the honest answer is I get why modern monetary theorists get very excited, because you can create money really easily. And that creates high velocity of money, which gets people to buy a lot of things, which gets people this sort of sense of I feel rich. But it only works for a while, and then it does the exact opposite, and it starts creating massive wealth inequality. And I can drill into any one of these beats, but if you'll just grant me, so it starts creating this massive wealth inequality, and then all of a sudden people go, wait a second, I'm not rich, I'm actually shockingly poor. Okay, so this is all tied to 1913, Federal Reserve, deficit spending. So deficit spending is the villain. Now, the problem with socialism is that it believes to the core of its existence that you can deficit spend and it will hurt only the rich because they're just going to go take more in taxes from the wealthy. But what they don't understand is you will actually, the more you try to take from the rich, because they pay just an obscene, disproportionate amount of the tax. It's like the top 10% pay something like 90% of all taxes. I mean, it's like insane. So what ends up happening, Laffer curve, we're going to get them on the show, is that the more you try to tax them, you end up getting less revenue. So they always think, well, I'm just going to tax them into oblivion and I'll get more tax revenue. You won't. You end up getting less. So you try to give all this stuff for free and you say, I'm just going to tax. It doesn't end up working. And so all of those things that you're giving away for free also tend to go down in quality because you can enslave people. So you have to pay them. So now you go, well, fuck, I've promised all these things. I have to deficit spend. So you deficit spend, but that takes from the poor as well as it takes from the rich. And it hurts the poor a lot more than it hurts the rich, like a lot more. And so now the poor get more and more frustrated and they demand more and more things for free, rent freezes, all of that. So you do it, which then makes you have to deficit spend more, which makes the poor poorer. So Trump,
it's just this escalating kind of thing.
so Trump is terrible. He passed the big, beautiful bill, a
Which also
literal
increased the
crime
deficit.
against humanity. The only people that are worse than Trump in terms of immoral deficit spending are the Democrats. And the only people worse than the Democrats are the Democratic Socialist wing of the Democrats. So he's on the DSA side. He's all the way to just complete madness, dialed to 10, maybe dialed to 11 in terms of how bad he's going to be for the poor. So this is not a defense of Trump overspending. I'm just saying if you've got one guy that's like, I'm only going to overspend by $2 trillion, and you've got another guy that's I'm going to overspend by $3 trillion, and then you've got another guy that's like, I don't even know what the effects are going to be. I just know I'm going to freeze rents. And he has no concept economically of how all this works. Like if I sat down with him, he would hit a point where he's befuddled. And so he would just start like coming at me with like random non sequitur bullshit or empty politician platitudes. There's no he's either sinister or he doesn't understand economics. Those are your two choices. There's no third option. He's either ignorant or sinister.
Copy. Okay. What you're saying is his deficit spending is worth his Trump deficit spending, so that's why Trump is a 7 and he's a 10.
Yes.
I summed it up.
Yep, just to keep
Okay.
it real simple.
Do you think we run a free market capitalist system currently right
No.
now? Okay, so do you think that Mamdani is going to enact a full 100% socialism structure overnight in New York City?
Overnight, no.
Probably he doesn't even have government powers to raise half of the taxes that he's talking about because he'll need the government approval.
Sure.
So even if he had 100% leeway, everybody said yes to everything, he couldn't make New York City 100%
Correct.
socialist.
Yeah, correct.
Cool. Okay, so we're both agreeing that if we can pick something starting at 0,
Yep.
100% capitalism is way better than 100% socialism.
Yes.
No argument, 100% agree, handshake agreement.
Okay.
Now, when we're talking about these blurred, messed up systems, let's dive into it a little bit more.
Yep.
For example, currently right now, U.S. aid needed $35 million in order to enable food banks, food programs across the U.S., some international.
Okay.
We said that was too much, $35 billion. We gave $40 billion to Argentina.
Yep.
So I'm going to put that one to the side. That's right here.
Yeah.
Okay, second thing. Billionaires just got a $175 billion tax cut through the big, beautiful bill. $175 billion tax cut.
Yep.
I'm going to put that in the middle.
Okay.
Mamdani said to run the buses for free, it'll cost $4 million. I'm not including the free grocery stores and all that other stuff. That's it's like the 40 billions. Let's just call $4 billion, the $4 billion. If I were to take that $175 billion tax break and made it a $165 billion tax break, I feel like billionaires would still be okay with that. You got 160 billion. You didn't get 175.
Sure.
And I feel like now I have free buses. And I feel like nobody flew and we didn't go full socialism and nothing blew up. Not a single baby's eaten.
Okay.
The math is going to math. We literally did this physically in Impact Theory where you talked to one of the teammates and said, hey, you spend too much of your time doing this. I'm not going to allocate more time or I'm not going to take away more time. I'm just going to take these things that aren't profitable and I'm going to put it in something that is profitable. And my argument, and I think the thing that is making Mamdani rise to power is right now we've been playing this trickle down game that I'm going to now say yes to everything billionaires want because they create jobs and they make the economy flow and they do all these things. But somewhere in that system, whether it's the regulations, whether it's the capitalist, or whether it's the greedy monocle guy from Monopoly, somewhere there's a break in the system, and that trickle down is not trickling down.
Okay, so you're making a rhetorical flourish that I don't think you realize you're making, but you're trying to trap me into an argument that I'm not making.
Break it down for me. Let me know my flaw.
The breakdown is very simple. You can't say, hey, Tom, we have a bad economic system. I want to replace it with a worse economic system, and I'm going to borrow from this bad economic system and reallocate it over here and pretend like this isn't an economic system that just will escalate as fast as humanly possible. So if he were, whatever amount he's able to do from a socialist standpoint is just going to make it worse from where we are today. So there's one, I'm saying this isn't sustainable. The position that you try to make sound like is mine, as in the current, it's Democratic in New York, it's not Republican, but the current Democratic lunacy is not my position. The current Republican lunacy is not my position.
Agreed. I didn't allocate
my position is very simple. You have degrees of lunacy. And if you're the guy all the way in the end, Mamdani, makes people feel seen. And so they're voting for that. The problem is in feeling seen, it's going to make your life far worse. And all the things you're worried about are going to escalate. So now we'd have to go into like, what are the tax breaks for? Do they generate jobs? If they don't generate jobs, then okay. If this is just going into the billionaires' pockets, like that's bad. If we could take money that was like just going to private citizens in their pocket, wasn't creating jobs, wasn't an incentive to get something like a factory or whatever built in their state. It was literally just, hey, go get your money. Then, yeah, you would be better off doing something that gave to poor people. Buses wouldn't be the answer, but like, hey, that at least there would be some logic on. I'll just make my prediction right now in terms of what's going to happen to the buses. They are going to get worse. They're going to, if they're truly free, homeless people will just post up in there because now they've got a slightly weather protected place that they can go and fall asleep. So now you've got a bus that's just full of people that are mentally unstable in many cases, certainly disconcerting for the average citizen for many people. They have no barrier to entry whatsoever. So now one of Mamdani's pushes is that by making the buses free, more people are going to take the bus, less people are going to drive. We're even going to get, this is not his main argument, but we're even going to get fewer people driving cars. You're going to get the exact opposite. More people are going to drive cars because they don't feel safe on the buses. And so,
But isn't it a law and order problem and not a
well, now we have another knock-on effect to all the things that he's trying to claw back in terms of what he said about defunding the police.
He said he wasn't going to defund the police, though.
Dude, there's so much footage of this guy talking about how the police are a problem, they're anti-queer, on and on and on. Now, we can say, hey, maybe he's had like this complete reversal of fortune.
Because he knows that's not a winning position,
probably.
just like
Exactly.
politicians always politic. I can pull up a bunch of taco moments where Trump had a position and kind of backed it up. So, you know, I think we both agree that politicians say things and then they backtrack
so
on that.
What you're trying to do, though, is map out what are they actually going to do. So if you map out the positions of the DSA, they are all catastrophic at a whole host of cultural levels. He is in that same vein. Oh, and by the way, all of his economic policies are completely suicidal. They've been tried a gazillion times before. I did an entire deep dive about the housing crisis in New York and how the fact that when you freeze rents, it makes everything fall to shit. And so I'm just saying, hey, we've already tried these.
And they're already 40%,
in that same fucking city.
They're already 40% rent frozen, though. So I think what the
So
issue...
you and I had this argument before, and I'm getting scared now that either I didn't convince you then and you just went quiet, or you're reverting to the mean. When you tell me, Tom, there's already 40% rent freezes in New York and everything is fine, I cannot reconcile that with everything is so shit that we need Mamdani to come in and save us by freezing the rents. The very thing I'm saying is, if you've already frozen 40% of the rents in New York and it hasn't fucking worked, why are you going to try to freeze the rents more? Like, this is so outlandish.
I feel like because we're going in the same kind of circle of like, Mamdani is going to usher in Mao style, Stalin style, Marxist style socialism.
Mamdani is pitching those ideas.
And
do you think that I just don't understand what
happened? No,
happened?
because what I'm saying is that he doesn't have the power to enact socialism at that level in New York City.
Great.
So it's okay. I guess.
If he is pitching these ideas that we know are not only terrible economically, they end up being murderous, okay, for reasons I can walk through.
But again, it's murderous from the top down. He doesn't have that power to make it like.
I understand. I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay.
So you've got a guy spouting policies that we can prove are murderous. They're terrible economically. He's going to go into New York. Do we have reason to believe that he will not try to enact, up to the limits of his power, everything that he can within? Cool.
Yeah.
So we have a guy that's moving us in a horrible economic direction who will make maybe 2%, but he will make to some amount New Yorkers' lives worse.
Ipso facto, period?
I've got another point, but I want to first get agreement on that.
That's where I'm kind of pushing back from, because I think you're saying his policy equals bad. Free buses equal bad.
Yes.
And what I'm saying is we have a allocation problem. I learned this from you, and I think this is why I'm pushing back. The government collects a lot of money.
Yep.
But somehow we spend it on bullshit.
Yep.
And I think if we stop spending it on bullshit and we can spend it on something that actually impacts the middle and lower working class.
Positively, right?
It can positively help.
Okay.
Now, I understand that increasing taxes and making it into a black hole is bad. I understand that if we increase the tax revenue, we're going to run out of rich people's money to take. Yep. I understand that if we did this on a national level, this is not sustainable and it would break.
Yep.
I understand all of these policies. I think that's where the federal and the state problems, that's how they balance the power out. I don't think that Mamdani's policy should be on a national level. Okay. Absolutely not. I don't think free buses should be on a national level. Absolutely not. But to say that infrastructure to me, infrastructure is a worthwhile investment.
Agreed.
Versus unnecessary tax cuts.
See, again, you're prescribing to me a philosophy that is not mine. So every word that you just said, we agree on. It's only when you then say Mamdani is the guy that's going to do that I'm like, that's not what he's pitching. So if you were saying, hey, Tom, I want to vote for this guy, whoever this guy is, because he's talking about we've got to reallocate these tax dollars to building up the infrastructure of New York. And then I would say, to do what? And if you said, we're building up the infrastructure to facilitate commerce, I'll be like, fuck yeah. Good investment. Very good investment. I just did a deep dive on this coming out on Monday. So you want the government to tax the people to put things in place that facilitate business. Okay. As a speed run, the only reason you ever have a single tax dollar ever is because of business. Just to make everything clear for everybody.
Absolutely.
So you want to build the infrastructure as a way of saying, wahaha, I'm a politician twirling my mustache. I'm going to make this place so amazing, so business friendly that you're going to build all these businesses, hire all these people, and it's going to generate all this tax revenue for me. Great. That's fucking fantastic. You will make everyone's lives better. But that is not what Mamdani is doing. He is very anti-capitalism.
However, that is the pitch that has been pitched out since the 70s. And we have seen that making pro-business, fewer regulations has not generated this.
Remember, you're just
prosperity.
restating things you and I already agree on. If you focus on you're going to bat for Mamdani, I'm just saying Mamdani is bad. And you're saying, no, the system is so broken, there's a better way to do this. And I'm like, yes,
so you have a
but
personal
Mamdani
beef
is
with
bad.
that person saying this.
Yes,
thing.
because he's about to get elected. And his policies are going to be so bad for New Yorkers because it is a fundamental misunderstanding of the foundational physics of economics. And because he doesn't understand the foundational physics of economics, or he does understand them and he does not give a shit, and I will remind everybody of the cross-cultural study that showed what people actually vote for is punishing the rich. They do not vote to help the poor. They vote for policies that if the policy would help the poor but also help the rich, they will not vote for it. If the policy hurts the poor but also hurts the rich, they'll vote for that.
Okay, I can give you an example. Remember when you were voting for, like, we were talking about who we voted for last election. We brought up Trump. You said, I didn't vote for Trump because I thought he was going to be this leader. I didn't vote for Trump because I thought he was going to be this enigmatic guy. I voted for Trump because he's going to deregulate crypto and he was going to be more pro-AI. And I was like, okay, out of those two policies, out of the 10 that he pitched, 8 of them are bullshit. The 2 that actually honed in on are the ones that I'm interested in. If I said that I have the same kind of faith in Mamdani in the sense that there are 2 policies out of the 10 that he pitched that could work and could be better, is that worth the trade-off from business as usual? Because I think we both agree that business as usual isn't working.
If on balance, he were going to do things that were better for New Yorkers, of course, I would vote for him. But if you're talking about buses being free as one of the policies that's going to be better for New Yorkers, then we just fundamentally disagree about what's about to happen.
Copy. Okay. Do you think that it's important for a government to invest in infrastructure full stop, or everything should be...
You need to be very thoughtful about what the infrastructure is, but yes, security, national defense, infrastructure that supports commerce, like these are hugely important things that America has neglected. And America has spent money like a drug addict. Like we have no logic or sense and we're just all over the map.
Shout out to Riley J. Sixers. I think they summarized this last 15 minutes in one line. They said Drew equals reallocate, Tom equals allocate less.
No, that's not accurate.
Okay. You don't think that you think the government should get less tax dollars to spend?
What I'm saying is you must balance the budget. You're going to have to get out from under some of this debt, which I have not talked about in this sequence. Yeah. But in terms of what I'm saying in this sequence is Mamdani will move you closer to a system that is going to literally gut New York in the way that it was gutted back in the 70s and 80s, where people burned buildings for the insurance money. They probably won't do that this time because the insurance companies are too savvy, but it'll be that same sort of just desperate setup where it's making everything worse. Now, in the greater context of what I'm saying, you have to put yourself in a position where you can get out from under a bunch of this debt. You are going to have to do a beautiful deleveraging, which requires you to tax the wealthy more. It requires you to redistribute wealth. But in the ways that he's doing it, it just is not going to yield the things you want to yield. You're going to have to money print, even though I think that it is just an astonishing evil. And you have to you have to balance the budget. I'm forgetting the name of the fucking word, austerity. You have to have austerity measures. And no one, not Republicans or Democrats, is prepared to do what needs to be done. And what I'm railing against is I can feel all of this populist energy catching people up. They get somebody that speaks to them in emotion. And now we're totally detached from what actually works. It is... it's crazy making. It is crazy making. So what do you do Like this is how it feels to me. There are people that are far more knowledgeable than me, but I'm like a junior physicist. And I understand physics well enough that I like get this sort of big blocky movements of it. And if you step off of a 10-story building, you fall to your death every time. And I can explain it to you from just gravity pulling an object seemingly towards the center of mass. I can explain it from the sudden stop that your brain tissue goes through, and that causes it to basically fragment, and then it can no longer send electrical and chemical signals, and so you become lifeless. Like whatever, like I understand it well enough, like I can sort of give you all of those, the different ways that people are going to die and what it's going to look like, and rough trajectories. And now I'm hearing somebody that's like, but you should be able to step off that building. And the reason that you haven't been able to step off the 10-story building is because all these rich motherfuckers are holding you back. Like, this is wild. Look at them. They take a helicopter off that building all the time. And you think just because you're poor, you can't step off that building? This is crazy. What are we going to do, everybody? We're going to step off the building. We're going to make building what? Free. Who gets to jump off the building? Everyone. And I'm just like, whoa, 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 whoa. I get why you guys are mad. 100%. You're right to be mad. You have been taken advantage of. This is fucking terrible. And by the way, while I'm saying all of this, you have to remember, I've got the fucking G5, G6, G7, G9, whatever fucking G I want over idling to take me to whatever country I want, a nice island where no mosquitoes at. Whatever. Okay? But I'm here and I'm trying to get people to understand this guy's going to fuck you up. Now, if Mom Donnie ruins New York, it will not impact my life. But I love people, Drew, and I want to see them win. And so I'm just like, hold on. If you do that, you are going to fall to your death. And so while I understand how righteously mad people are, the solutions that they are finding most enticing will accelerate their demise. So I'm just like, the only idea I can tell you to rule out is if you have 3 candidates, which one wants to spend the most money? Get rid of that guy. Because economics are your problem, look at your 3 candidates and ask, who's the most economically illiterate? Get rid of that guy. And right now, that's Mom Donnie.
So one issue voters, because he's spending so much money, it's not going to work.
As long as you're saying that the one issue is save America from violent revolution, yes.
Okay.
If you're saying the one issue is spare the poor, yes. Then I'm a one issue voter.
We're about to lower the Fed rate right now. Mom Donnie has nothing to do with that. That is going to then hurt the dollar. We are also set to go $107 trillion over the budget. We still haven't talked about SNAP. We still haven't talked about the shutdown. But let's just earmark it $2 trillion that we're probably going to go over budget in our deficit. So to me, it's funny because you're saying everything you're saying, I'm not debating, but for some reason you think that I think that government should do everything, or I'm team government, or I think I love the government.
I am arguing one exact thing that you've said, that free buses are good. That's it.
Okay.
I'm not ascribing literally anything else to you.
Okay.
Free buses are good.
And free buses are bad because, let me speed run this.
Sure.
Mechanics are going to be like, the government is paying for this now, so I'm going to overcharge them for repairs. Drivers are not incentivized to drive faster or slower because the government's footing the bill, so I could just do as I want. Homeless people who can't be on buses now, when they check the fare 50% of the time, are now going to be on buses all the time, and they're just going to be chilling there, and nobody's going to do anything about it. And then the people that actually are saving the $250 are just going to start driving more, even though they have a $30 congestion tax in Manhattan to drive. So it seems like when we have very specific problems, that I think it's not impossible for the U.S. to come up with a sustainable bus system. Like, I don't think that's impossible, especially with the rise of robo-taxis in this AI future that's right around the corner.
When you can money print, nothing's impossible except prosperity. The one thing that you left out of that is that the way that a self-sustaining economic engine works is when costs go up, you charge more for it. Mm-hmm. And so when you're in a situation where costs are going up for all the reasons that you listed and more, they can't raise prices. So they now have a fixed price that they can charge the customer, which is $0.00. So they're raising the prices on taxpayers. We've already talked about you can't just keep taxing. So they'll have an option. They'll try to tax some, they'll try to cut costs, and that's when the quality goes down. So if you can point to the government-run institution that is deeply efficient and highly innovative, then I'll be like, oh, okay, cool, let's copy that. But it doesn't work like that because they're not forced to compete. And when they're not forced to compete, the way that you compete as an entrepreneur is you go, oh shit, I've got to find really smart people and I've got to get them to focus on my problem. And so I'm going to spend money. I'm going to create a cool environment. Like I'm going to do all this stuff to try to get the smartest people in the world to come and work for me. The government doesn't have that ability because they fix funds. They're not innovative. They're huge bureaucracies. You said that you were, I can't remember if you said red pilled or black pilled on, it's the bureaucracy that grows. It's not like in a university, you just put a bunch of new teachers. You put a whole layer of middle management. So you're going to have this terrifying amount of middle management running this free bus system. And so it will be a clusterfuck and there will be no financial incentive to make it better. And so it won't get better. It will get worse.
Yeah. Do you believe that the government should invest in infrastructure at all?
Yes, aggressively, but towards things that facilitate commerce.
Like an airport.
Airport's a good example. Roads are a tremendous example. Bridges are a tremendous example. Train stations I'd have to look at like where that falls. If it's like human transport, probably not. That's probably best left to the private sector. Maybe they lay some of the track, but I don't know. I'd have to look more closely at that one in particular.
All right. Do you think he's going to bring Sharia law to New York City?
Him? No. Like you're 20 years out from that kind of thing.
What do you think the worst case scenario of Mamdani is? Worst case scenario?
Of 4 years with him? He damages the police force dramatically. He does things to reduce their sense of confidence going into conflicts, so they start backing off. You start losing more good officers. You get increased lawlessness. You make more things legal, like he wants to legalize prostitution. Whether he has the ability or not, I haven't looked closely at that, so I don't know. But just going off of things he's talked about publicly that he wants to do. So as you decriminalize things, then gangs move in to the vice type stuff. And you're going to see increased lawlessness, especially because he doesn't believe in harsh policing. You're going to get like social workers and stuff having some of the policing dollars reallocated to that, those put on the street. That isn't going to work. It's a very feminine approach to a very masculine problem. I think that's just absolute stupidity.
Masculine problem is the law, like order?
Is violence, yes.
Violence?
Yeah.
Okay.
You will have people, I mean, listen, I know I like to talk about TCG, but you can find videos of like masked men just walking into, sometimes not even masked, walking into a TCG shop, smashing everything and just grabbing it and going. And back in my Quest days, there was a guy who was like, oh yeah, there was a Jack in the Box. We used to practice, or Burger King, I forget. We used to practice robbing it. That was like the practice place. And so everything was like bank teller, like plexiglass inside of a fast food restaurant. So it's like these things can and do happen when you don't have law enforcement in those areas. So I think that'll be the big one. The next one will be he'll make buses worse. Whatever economic policies he has the ability to pass, he will universally make them worse. And because he is so charismatic, he's really going to win more people over to the dark side. That is socialism. And
even when everything goes worse.
Idea. Yeah, because Drew, for the same reason, you're a very smart man. You and I battle all the time. And yet, you're still like, free buses is probably a good idea. So,
okay. The reason I say free buses are a good idea is because government is already stealing my money. And instead of giving it to people I don't like, give it to something that'll make me feel better.
Okay,
it's
I'm going to say
100%,
something
it's
horrible.
100% self-serving.
I'm going to say something really horrible.
Okay.
If somebody is raping my sister, I don't go, can you please rape her in a better way? I go, if you don't fucking stop raping my sister.
But nobody's proposing no taxes. Nobody is.
Drew, I'm not proposing no taxes. You have to balance the budget. Now, I just want to remind everybody,
Okay.
my sister, in this horrific analogy, is poor people. So what I'm saying is everything has to be geared towards bring back the middle class. And what I'm saying is Mamdani is going to make that worse, not better. We need to bring back the middle class. Bring back the middle class. Dude, AI is the problem you've got to be looking at. And we are going after the most dumb stuff ever. Focus on what matters. Be economically literate. Be able to walk me through your cause and effect. Like, these are the things that we need to be doing, and we're just not doing them. And it is wild. And smart, well-intentioned people are getting caught up in the emotion. They get as far as, I know I'm being screwed over. And then as long as the person says I'm fighting for you, they can then, after that I'm fighting for the working class, they can say the dumbest, most self-destructive stuff ever, and people will still be for it. I'm still raging against the Gary economics machine because he will literally
He likes
walk
not making
you.
content.
He will walk. Has he really?
Yeah.
It's probably good. He'll walk you through the problem, and then he'll throw his hands up as soon as you ask him to put forward a solution. It's wild. And people let him get away with that. That's crazy town. So, I mean, listen, I'm going to live and die by, I have mapped out at the end of every one of my deep dives, and now go do this. I'm not trying to hide behind vagaries. I'm literally giving people, every video ends, this is my best guess at what the right path forward is. No way am I going to be 100% right. I'll just tell you that up front. But I'm at least trying to put forward actual solutions that people can execute against.
What do you think is going to happen when SNAP benefits run out?
I think the thing I'm going to learn is how SNAP benefits are actually being used. The people that are using it to eat are rightly going to make a whole lot of noise. And people will rightly be mortified that our government is willing to play these kind of dumb ass games. Are we also going to find out that there's a whole lot of bullshit in the SNAP benefits doubling in the last 5 years? Probably. And so I'll be very interested to see what that's about. Is it about immigrants? Is it about people getting more than they were previously being allocated?
Or it might be about a pandemic that happened and
yeah, but why do you, and I'm really asking because I don't know, why did that double the expenditure and not come down now that things have renormalized?
Over 5 years. So it didn't double, like, you know.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
just like
over 5
we
years it's
lost
gone up.
25% of our purchasing, but like those are tied to each other.
But that would account for 25%. What do you think is the other 75%? So if you're just saying, no, Tom, that's just inflation, cool. I totally buy that, 25% of it. But it's not going to be 100% of the increase. So what accounts for the other 75% of the increase?
So
over such a short amount of time.
There was increased benefits, full stop. There was supply chain issues. Also,
but why did we increase benefits?
Because people weren't working. Because the government was shut down.
So you're saying
nobody could go.
Before it was like supplemental. Now it's like we're just going to cover your whole thing.
There were temporary like bumps in the unemployment, SNAP benefits, and
so you're saying
and
this
the healthcare
is
subsidies. All those things were
an echo of the labor force.
Echo of the labor force from COVID shutdowns. Yes, this was
mathematically that's not going to get you very far. So you've got the total all-in everything unemployment number. Even people that are just I flat refuse to look for a job is 12%. So but that's like risen from whatever.
Yeah, but people think if you have SNAP, you're not working. There's people who work who are
sorry. What I just
SNAP.
heard you say is the increase is due to a corresponding decrease in the amount that those people are getting paid from a job, whether they've lost hours, lost their job altogether, inflation, right? Or did I misunderstand what you're saying?
Let's just break it down into tiers. So COVID, full stop. If you are impacted
what does COVID mean to you?
The shutdown in economic activity.
Ended years ago. So what are we talking about?
But from 2000, but again, we asked where it happened in the last 5 years.
I think we have a different graph in our minds. So the graph in my mind, which we can pull up, I think we grabbed it. It spikes up at COVID and it comes down a little, but not a lot. And so I'm saying if this were COVID, it would just come back down to pre-pandemic levels. It doesn't.
This is the SNAP. I don't even
expenditure graph.
Let's look it up. SNAP expenditure graph.
Yup.
But yes, they increased the benefits over COVID, and then these are the same thing with the ACA subsidies that they're arguing about. It was a COVID temporary relief that people now don't want to rescind that temporary subsidy.
Okay, so
that's
do you
part
think
of
they
that.
should? And I'm just misunderstanding.
I'm just saying this is where it comes from. You asked me where it came from.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying as we look at this, what I'm asking is, you've got people that got an increase in benefits. To me, you should only get an increase in benefits if you are going to be malnutritioned without an increase in benefits. And then we go, okay, why are you not able to afford food? I think this should all be means tested, which I know people hate, but just seems insane to me that we don't means test. So
What do you mean by means test?
That you have to qualify. Like, are you looking for a job? Why are you not able to get a job? How much are you getting paid at your job? Could you...
That's like, there's an application for SNAP. It's the same thing with like unemployment. How you have to like file, then you have to like, you get assigned it. I can't just go to snap.com.
Yeah. But so my direct statement is very simple. If we took people's benefits up because during COVID they were literally without work, I get that.
Copy.
Now that things have normalized,
you have to reapply.
Yeah, I would expect them all now to have jobs again. So the question becomes, are they proving that they're looking for a job, that they have a reason that they're not able to get a job, so on?
This wasn't the graph.
That's not the one that I'm thinking of, but if that paints the clear picture, it just looks like that ends in 22. We need one that ends in 24.
SNAP expenditures graph.
Anyway,
okay.
it goes up, it
either
comes
way.
down a little, it does not come down. That's the graph.
Yes. Boom, boom. It spikes for 2020.
So that's pure insanity. I don't see, like, someone will need to explain to me why the 2025 trend is not back to 2019. There's a reason, but I want to know what it is. So anyway, this was all, what do I think is going to happen when SNAP defaults? I think we're going to find out why that number hasn't come back down. And if it's a whole bunch of bullshit, meaning if immigrants are on SNAP, people are going to have something to say about that. If it's people that aren't being means tested, people are going to have something to say about that. If it's people, some percentage selling their SNAP benefits because they are getting, let's say, $3,000 worth of SNAP benefits, but they only need $1,000 to eat, then rumor has it, some percentage between one person and a whole bunch, which I have no idea, are selling their SNAP. So these are all the things that we're going to find out. Or it's all entirely need-based, and so many people have lost their jobs, the economy is collapsing, and it's just revealing the underlying rot, and it's the canary in the coal mine. I don't know the answer. So that's what we're going to find out. Now, if this is just the canary in the coal mine, the government has fucked up so badly that something like 40% of Americans are on benefits. So it's like, yo, you have a catastrophic problem if 40% of people are on benefits. That's wild. So we need to fact check that. We need to look at that because I might be conflating 40% are on government payroll, which could also be true. Both of those are wildly problematic. But anyway, that's what we're going to learn. And then there will be a reaction from that.
I want to go to this Peter St. Onge clip who says that the shutdown could last to 2027 because unlike past shutdowns, there's not a debt ceiling scare that's around the corner.
This was crazy. Had you ever contemplated this? This was not on my bingo card.
I'm going to be honest. This is the longest shutdown since Trump did it the last time. And because he wants to slash government anyway, to me, Republicans have no incentive to open the government again.
Now with their poll numbers going up, but failure of imagination. I did let him say what he's going to say, and then I'll explain how shocked
Really
that was.
quick, because we're moving topic to topic pretty fast. We do have a couple of super chats.
Oh, let's go.
Oh, I know.
Thank you.
Cool.
Super chat.
So first one from MOA Boverkill, or Moab Overkill. There we go. Massive wealth inequality and massive assistance inequality. Jason from All In said on X that we need to bootstrap it and no one is coming to save us. He was one of the loudest supporters for the SBV bailout. What's your opinion?
Yeah, so unfortunately, the government is going to have to let banks fail. Unfortunately, you need a system where rich people can become poor. Period. And the reason you need that system is because you need a system where poor people can become rich. And when you have a system where there are so many protections for investors, and that's what's happening when people are getting bailed out in banks, that you make it impossible for us to stop money printing. You make it impossible, therefore, to stop wealth inequality. You make it impossible for poor people not to have their money stolen from them. You make it impossible for everybody not to have their money stolen from them. So you have to be in a position where you go, all right, motherfuckers, you want to gamble? Cool. Right now we force everyone to gamble. That's my only beef with this. But like, hey, the people that are getting rich are the people that gamble well, right? Like this is why people think that I have forgotten what it's like to be poor. I've spent a lot more of my life. Poor is an unfair word for me, but I've spent a lot more of my life either broke or sort of clinging to the bottom rung of middle class than I have wealthy. And what we have a system right now that the people that understand assets, they are richly rewarded. I am in that class. Now, you have to put me in a position where if I make a series of bad decisions that I get wiped out. You can't be like, oh, poor guy. The problem is to put me in that position, you have to put everyone in that position. And so what I'm saying is, yes, you've got to go back to OG America. You've got to go back to the America where it was like, hey, America doesn't promise you shit. America does not have safety nets. But boy, oh boy, if you want a shot, if you want to find out if you've really got what it takes, you come to America. That's why they said of New York, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Because it was the most cutthroat, the most brilliant. From all over the world, came to one place, and if you fell, you froze to death on the streets. We don't have the stomach for that anymore. So now we try to protect. But the problem is, what do governments tend towards? Tyranny. So all of those really smart people realize, oh, I get this game. We're going to build safety nets. Cool. Say less, fam. I'm going to come in. I'm going to build a system through networking and all that to make sure that my people get taken care of. And I'm going to make it sound like you're getting taken care of because you don't understand money printing. And so I'm going to money print and be like, but bro, like I've got to make sure that all the people with money in the bank, they're good. Like, don't you want the government to bail it out and keep stability? And people go, yeah. And the bad news is that by doing the we have to deficit spend. And that means taking from the rich, taking from everybody, making the rich richer and the poor poor. That's the game. That's the game that we're playing. And so it is wild that people, and here's the thing, this is part of the crazy making process. I know that what I just said, people are going to hate the vast majority of humanity, even if they'll stick with me for a long time. When I start saying no safety nets, they're just not going to be here for it. Then when I say, okay, cool, I'm perfectly willing to pay taxes into whatever the country says they want to pay for, as long as they balance the budget. They're not going to be here for that either. And so then what are they voting for? The very system that's fucking them over. And so then I'm just like, whoa, I don't know what else to do. So I have an existential crisis like once a week about why do I talk into this fucking microphone? Because the number of people that are actually going to change their behavior are effectively zero. And so I'm sort of like gunning for, I hope people in the government start listening, or maybe other tastemakers start listening. I don't know. But somebody, like if actual people don't change their minds, what's it for? It's really wild. So anyway, I'm not spilling over that precipice every time I've come to the conclusion that it's worth fighting the good fight, but ooh, buddy. So anyway, cause and effect, map it out. Yeah.
Next up from Nunya. If economics won't fix the Israel-Hamas situation, then doesn't that fall into the question?
If who won't fix it?
Economics.
One more?
Economics will solve. Economics solves it, but you have to get people to have an ideology that allows for that problem to be solved. Yeah. That one's complex. I'm happy to talk more about it. Sorry. Go with that, and then I'll...
Good. The rest says, then doesn't that call into question the growing heat in the U.S.? I don't think communists will be peaceful, even in a good economy, even if it happened tomorrow, just too radical.
Yeah. Communists are by their nature violent. The nature of their ideology forces violence. That is the more accurate way to say that. That's the part I don't understand. When you don't have a free society, the only thing that remains is violence. So when you have a free society, like think about your employment here, Drew. If I start being tyrannical, you go, I no longer work here and I can't force you. And so, I can leave at any time if this guy becomes a lunatic. When you live in a country, they can actually stop you from leaving. So now it's like, nope, sorry, you don't get a choice to leave, which they routinely do. Despots constantly stop people from leaving because they don't want their money to leave. They don't want brain drain. If they need you for cannon fodder, they just can't have you gone. So they will routinely stop people from leaving the country. And the reason that you end up in that situation is in a free country, when the government starts doing something you don't agree with, you get to say, I don't agree with that, and I'm going to vote you out of office. In a dictatorship, you don't have that privilege, but people are still going to disagree. And so ultimately, they will say, dear communist, dear comrade, I don't agree with you. I don't think we should do it that way. And what comrades learn very quickly is, I got to kill a bunch of you. And they will do it. And do it. What's that?
In order for my idea to win.
Yeah, because I have to rule by force. Because I'm not going to persuade you. Why would I? First of all, I could lose the battle of persuasion. Then I go out of power. There's no incentive for me to do that. So they end up just killing. And that's the part where I'm like, man, I don't understand how people that even the people that are like, I would be perfect in my judgments. I would be perfectly benevolent. So put me in power. The question becomes, okay, but do you really think everyone will agree with you? If they say, yes, they're mentally ill, they know nothing about the world, lock them away. If they say, no, obviously not, people are going to push back. No matter what, you cannot please all the people all the time. So I know that I will have dissenters. Then you go, how will you deal with them? And if they're like, oh, they can say whatever they want. I'm going to be doing things that are good for people. And it's like, okay, cool, but they can't vote you out of office. So what about when they're at the palace doors and they're like, you've got to go? What do you do at that point? And they'll be like, they'll give some answer that assumes that there's a very small number of people. And then I go, well, in a country of 330 million, if even 10% have beef, you've got 13 million people at your door. And they can do whatever they want. And you need to look no further than what happened in, was it Indonesia? Wherever it was, where they were just chasing them through fields and making them escaping helicopters. They burned the queen alive, all that. They will come for your neck. And so then it's like, well, what do you do when they do that? Now, in a free society, they tend not to do that. They tend not to amass in numbers like that because they know they can vote you out. But when they don't know they can vote you out, that's exactly what they do. And then you shoot them. And look at every country that's had this kind of authoritarian government in place. They always kill people. Always. Not sometimes. Always. Because they have to, because it's the only way left to deal with a dissenting opinion. And because their economic philosophies don't work, the number of people that dissent grows by the day. And so their level of violence must grow by the day. If you actually ushered in a utopia, Singapore, I'm looking at you, then people don't revolt, even though you have people that disagree with you. And I would like to, I'll paraphrase, but this is pretty fucking close. I let the communists know that I would fight to the death to stop them. Okay. That was Lee Kuan Yew. So, you basically have a guy that truly seemed about as close as you're going to get to a benevolent dictator. And even he was like, oh, I'll kill a motherfucker. So that's the game. And so the question is, do you really trust a politician to be in that position? I do not. Aggressively. Hard pass.
We've got one more from Dan Clark.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom,
Super
just
chat.
got back from a 1-year anniversary cruise. Needless to say, I'm out of date on world events from the last 2 weeks. Can you give me a brief catch-up?
Okay, so this is a super chat. So we owe them something. Okay.
Speed run of the last
Where
2
can
weeks.
they
Yeah.
go? Or what prompts can they use?
Well, the best thing to do would just be to watch the last 2 weeks of lives. They're still out there. They'll be amazing. You'll have a good time. Over the last 2 weeks, it's really been relatively even keel. The government shutdown is probably one of the biggest things. There's been some minor things popping off here and there, but it's been reasonably stable. So you didn't miss too much in that time. We are losing a lot of jobs to AI, which we're going to be covering today. That's a big one. You have an alien spacecraft potentially headed towards Earth, but you're going to find out today whether it is or not. And then you're still deficit spending. So you are absolutely destroying the poor. There you have it. Caught up.
Also, Nunya, because he has a bunch of super chats, he wrote, Drew, socialism is a pipeline, that road that leads to communism. It's like giving someone who's likely an addict drugs. It's okay at first till it's not.
Socialism and communism are the same thing.
Cool.
So there you have it.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
I think people don't think I know what a socialist is.
Yeah. I don't see the FDR was a socialist. You are correct. He gets a shout out in my most recent deep dive. So no, they are not. Oh, the funny thing is I should have known just from the all caps who was saying that. Yeah. Drew, anybody, I don't pay enough attention to the comments about either of us, to be honest, for my own sanity. But yeah, if people map you as a confused person, I think they would be barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah. You know what? I should have dressed up as a socialist for Halloween. I just thought about that. I should have had a
Not too late, Drew.
I should have had a comrade.
Dress?
The sickle, was it the sickle and the hammer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have a sickle and a hammer shirt. Or I could just dress up in Mondani in a suit with a black tie and do the
Does he really do that?
that's his like.
That's so horrible. Oh, I hate everything about that.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Okay, back to the clip. Back to the government shutdown. Back to the failure of imagination. I think is what you call it. Of like I didn't know that this was on the table, but this could be good, not a good, but this could be a option that some Republicans are thinking about. I'm looking at you, Project 2025 people.
Shutdown could theoretically last until 2027, according to Zero Hedge. Dare we dream? As the federal shutdown enters day 28, we are just 1 week shy of the record set back in 2018 when Trump wanted a border wall and Democrats wanted new voters. Republicans ended up surrendering on that one with not one penny for the wall, but this time, amazingly, Republicans have held the line. This is probably because polls are showing the shutdown is not actually hurting Republicans. In fact, their odds in the midterm elections, which is the most important thing in Washington right now, have actually gone up since the shutdown began, now hitting 40%. That's pretty impressive considering the party in power has won midterms just 3 times since 1934.
That's wild.
Yet here we are, near even after 4 weeks of shutdown. Now, the polling suggests mainstream media has lost their mojo, while Trump has been very careful to keep funding everything popular, so the military, ICE, WIC for pregnant women, while starving all the left-wing garbage, the foreign aid, money holes for New York subways and wind farms, food stamps for illegals. So there's little pressure for Republicans to cave. They win by doing nothing, which, to be fair, is already their comfort zone. And that takes us to Zero Hedge, who asks, how long can it keep going? Now, the key is most past shutdowns were paired with a debt ceiling, which makes markets panic about treasury payments, which are the lifeblood of our Ponzi financial system. But the next debt ceiling doesn't hit until mid-2027. That removes the external pressure to cut a deal. So if the world's not ending, if markets aren't even noticing the shutdown, if Republicans are rising in the polls while Democrats are afraid of their Antifa base, nobody needs a deal. In theory, this means they can literally keep going until 2027. So for fun, what if they do? For starters, 2027 is far past the 61 days needed to permanently fire federal workers. The Office Management and Budget has already officially fired roughly 10,000 and can keep going to, in theory, all 750,000 who are officially listed as useless,
dude, if
or
they do
non-essential. GDP
that would be transformative from a cost perspective. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of for it. I don't know enough about what the unessential worker or non-essential workers do to just pull that trigger willy-nilly. Mm-hmm. But this is watching this was the first time I was like, wait, do I actually have hope of a balanced budget? So I don't know that that would come even close. You probably can't get anywhere near what you need to get to without touching entitlements. But I was like, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Because first of all, counting government jobs as GDP is so insane. That is patently ridiculous. That is patently ridiculous. It's wild. You're double counting because those are just tax dollars going out again, and you're counting it again. Like you're literally double counting revenue. That's insane. So you shut that off. You stop pretending. You get a real sense of where your economy is, which I think will be startling to people about how slow our growth actually is. And then
What would be the impact of that, of the GDP thing? Because I think
that'll be purely psychological because you're double counting the revenue from a GDP perspective.
Yeah. So we
Now,
find out our GDP is negative for the last 20 years. This whole
probably
time.
not negative, but it'll be very low.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say you find out that you thought it was whatever we think it is, 2.8 or 1.8, maybe it's 1.8 right now. And you find out that it's like 0.4, it would be like, ooh, we are stagnant. We have been stagnant, because then you start running all the numbers going backwards and saying, okay, if we took out all the governmental expenditures, what does that look like? And you start realizing, oh my God, this is a ridiculously low number. That would be very, very detrimental to the psychology of the US. But I think it would help people understand why we are where we are. Dude, real wages have stagnated for 40 years. That's insane. Especially when you think about how much inflation there's been America's just been getting poorer and poorer and poorer. And the part that really wounds my soul, and they don't understand it's from money printing. They just don't understand it. Money printing, globalism. If you a 1-2 punch, and if you can only do one, money printing.
If you can only fix one, you'll fix money printing over the globalism.
Correct.
Got it. Hypothetically speaking, I know we talked about this number earlier that estimates 40% of people are employed by federal and government. I'll say federal and state. I'll combine those numbers together. Let's say we slash that to 20%. That is roughly 60 million people. On top of the other million AI job losses that is kind of on the...
This is where it gets scary.
Yeah.
Is you now run the risk of putting yourself into a deep, dark depression.
Yeah.
From just all the job loss.
Yeah.
Because whether that's recycling tax dollars or not, that's money that people have to put into the economy. Dude, so we have to pull up the clip or the tweet from Ray Dalio. This is one of those showstoppers. He's saying the same thing he's been saying for a while, but every now and then he'll just say something in a slightly new way, and it's like, ooh, yeah, that's rough. And he said that there are two economies now in America. They have completely fractured away from each other, and basically rich people are driving all of the spending, and you can look at our economy and go, oh, hey, 1.8, okay, that's not great, but it's not horrible. And then you start looking under the hood and you realize that 1.8 is largely fake because of people working for the government. And then on top of that, it's driven by a tiny number of companies. The spending is driven by a tiny number of people. It's 10% of Americans are driving, 80% or more of the spending. Yikes. Dude, you can't have that. You can't have it simply because of envy and resentment.
Yeah.
There's not a complex mathematical formula about why you can't have it. You can't have it because we as animals cannot look out at somebody else that has way more than us, where the economy is working for them, and be okay. We won't be okay. We'll start fighting. We start hurting other people. That's the response. And when you get a mass number of people mobilizing to hurt other humans, you have instability, lack of safety. It is a nightmare of epic proportions.
All right, let's jump into the tweet. This is Mario Nalfa quoting Ray Dalio. Billionaire investor Ray Dalio says you can't look at the U.S. economy as whole anymore because the gap between winners and losers is too extreme. About 3 million people, 1% of the population in AI and tech are thriving, while the bottom 60% are struggling. 60% of 350.
Struggling hard.
105, roughly about 100 million people. If you're looking at, let's say, the AI world, and really what amounts to about 3 million people, 5 to 1% of the population leading, and then the 5 or 10% around them, you have one world that the whole world is dependent on. Then you have the bottom 60% of the population. Consider this: 60% of the American population has below 6th grade reading level. That's tough. And with that, they're becoming unproductive. And because of those things, you have a dependency, an extreme dependency. The numbers back them up. 22 states are in a recession, while only 16 are growing. California and New York carry the entire economy on their backs. Wealth inequality has exploded since 2020. The top 1% nearly doubled their wealth. Top 0.1% nearly doubled their wealth from 12 trillion to 22 trillion. The bottom 50% gained up just 2 trillion combined. The economy now runs on spending from the rich. If they stop, everyone else is toast.
Bro.
When you read this, what was your initial reaction?
Stop printing money.
Got it.
Balance the budget. Jesus Christ.
I feel like
Basically,
60%
just like
of
that,
Americans.
the voice was screaming in my head.
I feel like we just kind of skimmed over the 60% of Americans below have below a sixth grade.
That is so terrifying. So in the age of AI, what is happening?
That's tough, and with that, they're becoming unproductive.
Here's. Okay. Drew, I'm now just talking to you. I'm going to pretend like there is nobody listening. This is why I'm into children's entertainment. Somewhere along the way, we lost a sense of your job is to become a badass motherfucker. Your job is to get hard. Get hard, young man. Work your ass off. Put a log on your back and fucking stand in like a seating position until your quads are on fire, and then do it again over and over and over. Your job is to get smart, is to get educated, is to read, to be a Renaissance man, to take in as much knowledge as you can from every direction. And for everyone to pressure their children to do that, to pressure your friends to do that, to let your friend know he is cool for being good at sculpting and architecture and archery. Like, dude, when did we lose all of that? I'm watching One Piece right now. Mm-hmm. Bro, I am blown away. The Japanese just have figured something out. They get it. Like, they get the hard work, set a goal, go after it. Literally, One Piece, the kid says like 100 times, I'm going to become the king of the pirates, and if I die on the way, that's fine with me. Dude, imagine something in America made where the kid is like, I'm going to go do this insane thing. I'm going to risk my life, and I don't mind dying in the pursuit of it. And like, that's not even the thing you talk about when you watch One Piece, but it's like, that's exactly what makes it dope. America does not have that spirit. America has lost its belief in itself. America no longer believes that we are worthy of winning, that we're even worthy of competing at that level. And so the fact that we let 60% of our population go without being shamed into oblivion for having a 6th grade reading level. And dude, I don't care. The only way to get people to like do this kind of hard stuff is to make them want to earn the respect of the people they respect by doing the things that those people do. So yeah, I get it. You grew up with a single mom who's working 18 jobs because she's being money printed to death. And I still expect your friends to clown on you and shame you for not being able to read well, for not getting more powerful by the day, for not setting your sights on just victory over everyone, that you were going to play an honorable game, but you were going to play that honorable game to win. I want every kid in America sitting around in groups like my friends and I did, or on the monkey bars like my friends and I did, saying, I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be the best at this. I'm going to conquer this thing. Whatever your mission in life is, fucking do it. And at the society level, we've got to encourage that, man. And if you're fucking off and you are wasting your potential, dude, people need to clown on you hard. Like, you need to get it top, bottom, left, right. And yes, it will hurt emotionally. And yes, you will carry those scars with you. And yes, it will make you work harder because you don't want people looking at you like that. Dude, we've got to get back to that because we are going to face a massive population of Chinese people that are doing this, that believe in themselves, that are prepared to win, that are going hard in the paint to be the greatest of all time at whatever. And you will meet them in economic battle, if nothing else. And if you are not prepared to fight to win, you will lose.
Man.
Dude, I'm telling you, like, we've really let go of something, and we are going to pay we are already paying a huge price.
All right. Hits blunt. I got an idea. 60% of people are unproductive. There's going to have to be a reckoning coming soon. I'm not going to say that 30% of them, maybe 50% of them. I don't know how much the percentage is going to be. I feel like the homeless population is about to explode. I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that are going to, quote unquote, need help. Now, we talked about balancing the budget. We talked about how we're already broke and we can't help any more people. What happens when those 60% get exposed? The tide comes in and we see there's a lot more naked people than we thought. We see that there's a lot more broke people than we thought. The people have been paying themselves. The government has been propped up. Trump gets rid of all these non-essential workers, and we see the unemployment rates go to 20, 30%. At that point, is that we have to cut off the hand to save the whole body? Because if we get bacteria infection, it could kill us. But if we just sever that, we can just sear it and we'll be good to move on. This is a tough conversation, I know. This is worst case scenario. I'm not saying let's go around and kill 30 million people.
I hope not.
But I feel like there's a population of the people that we don't know what to do with. And all I'm saying is maybe I understand why Mal popped them. I don't know. Maybe I understand why they have.
God damn, Drew.
Maybe that's where we're at right now. I don't know. What do you think? What are we gonna do with the 30 million people?
Sounds completely unhinged.
We can't house them. We don't got it. We can't feed them.
Yeah.
We don't got it. There's not enough churches.
Okay,
we don't got it.
So we're living in a fictitious thought experiment where we're saying that
100%.
we're at like 30% unemployment, and what do we do? Okay, so always build up from the physics. If you're at 30% unemployment, you're in Great Depression territory. So now you've got to be focused on you treat this like a national emergency, and it becomes, what do you have to do to rebuild the economy? You have to immediately unburden people from debt. And so you're hitting a nuclear option, and you're going to do a ton of debt forgiveness. You're going to do like the beautiful deleveraging, but if it gets ugly, it gets ugly. Like, you've just really got to get people out from under the debt. You've got to create an economic environment that is so deregulated, so pro-business, so anti-incumbent, being able to cock block everybody else. You've put people in hunger mode, which is great, but you've now got to clear the runway for all of those guys to innovate their way out of poverty, because there's going to be a huge number of people that look around and go, I'm not willing to let my kids go hungry. And so some will turn to violence, obviously. Some will turn to crime, obviously. But a lot of them are going to create incredible companies. There's a stat, it's not quite true, but it's often repeated. It gets the spirit of something right, even though it is not literally true. But it will often be repeated that more millionaires were created during the Great Depression than any other time in human history. What they're trying to get at is, in those moments of desperation, there is a subset of people that go, oh, I'm going to win because my back is so against the wall. And you've got to facilitate that. You've got to get the debt off their back. You've got to give them access to sound money. And maybe Bitcoin is enough already. But you have to make sure that there's no regulatory hurdles for that, so somebody can amass money in a non-inflatable currency. This is where you start thinking about infrastructure, digital, physical, everything. That's where the government needs to be allocating their money. And you have to let people fail. And this is the part that people are gonna have a really hard time. So this is where you gotta audit FDR. He was very popular at the time, but the reality is he almost certainly prolonged the Great Depression because he was doing all these socialist policies, and they don't work. And so his own cabinet, like finance cabinet or economic cabinet, said, like, we tried everything and it just didn't work. So we look back on that fondly because it felt so humane, but the reality is, to your point about the cutting off of the hand, where I thought you were going, was you just have to let some people fail. And you don't kill them a million %. You do enforce the law. So if they, even out of desperation, if they are stealing or whatever, they go to jail. So unfortunately, it's not one where you can be like, oh my God, I feel so bad for you. No, like, if you did a crime, you are going to serve the time, but you need to understand why they're doing that so that you can terraform the economic landscape to be ready for people to build back up. And that was one of the lines in my deep dive, is the cycle of history pre-1913 was boom, bust, and then rebuild. And it was brutal. When people lost everything, it was brutal, man. Nobody wanted to see that. But you had a shot to rebuild. Like, listen, I've arrogantly said many times that you can drop me into any company in whatever the lowest ranking person is. 6 months later, the odds that I'm an executive border on 100%. And then on a long enough timeline, the odds of me becoming CEO are ridiculously high. So it's like, man, I'm just not worried about having to rebuild. I don't want to go through it. This is not me like, oh, I don't care. I'm not trying to be flippant. What I'm trying to point at is skill set matters a lot. And so if somebody actually has the skills and they get knocked all the way down, that would be brutal. But then you set about rebuilding and you find out if you actually know how to do something or not. This is why I want people to understand skills have utility. They let you do a thing other people can't do. If you actually have skills that are better than other people, you just go out compete them. Understand what the desired outcome of the game is, get very good at delivering that desired outcome, and then go do that thing. And as long as the system isn't rigged against you in a way that is just impossible to overcome, then hey, you've got a shot. But you have to let that creative destruction take place. You've got to let people fall from their mighty perches. You have to. Otherwise, people just can't rise back up.
Do you think we have a skill issue now in the U.S. like that?
Obviously, if you have people that 60% of the country has a 6th grade reading level. Okay, this is wild. I did not do any research, but when I started writing the deep dives, I dumbed down for my audience and doubled my dollars. They criticized me for it, but they all yell holler. So I consciously was like, I'm going to write these at a 6th grade level. So it was like an intuition about where we're at. But that's wild. That's literally true.
Okay. Interesting.
Some super chats.
Yeah, I thought more people were going to die in that scenario.
Super chat.
I respect it.
No.
Okay.
A lot of people are going to go broke, though.
First up from Nunya, to answer Drew's question, in World War II, most soldiers who joined the military were illiterate, was like 60% military and war fixed. And war fixed that. You take the most unproductive and forced to work together, history repeats.
Oof. Let's look at the bright side of what the military did, because I fear they're on the side of how do you cannon fodder a bunch of people. But the military also realized we need to educate them to make them better soldiers. They did the GI Bill. So coming out of the war, a lot of those guys also got educated in a way that they never would have been educated otherwise. And so you were asking about infrastructure earlier. Honestly, I'm way more focused on education. It's a travesty that our taxpayer dollars go to teachers unions that are letting this happen. And anybody that's like, oh, it's not their fault, it's entirely their fault, 100%. Now, ultimately, who do I blame? The parents, of course, but it's like, you can't deliver those kind of trash ass results and expect me to keep funding it. That is literally criminal. We are abusing our own citizens at a rate that is grotesque.
Can we just shout out Nunya for a second? Thank you, bro. Or sis. I appreciate you.
What'd they say?
They just are doing a lot of super chats today.
Oh,
Yep,
facts.
we got 2 more from them. And it's
Really
it's
is
LeBlanc as well. Like LeBlanc is
Oh, Twitch LeBlanc.
We got LeBlanc back? Wait, Nunez LeBlanc?
Nunez LeBlanc.
Yep.
Y'all be trying to switch up on the streaming platforms, get us confused.
Let's
Tricky,
go.
tricky.
LeBlanc's legit.
Second one from Nunya or LeBlanc. People think the next war and draft is going to be just blue collar people. It's not. It's going to be poor and uneducated.
Yeah.
That's why honestly I thought you were gonna say that we'll start another war. Because I feel
Jesus
like
Christ.
war
I
definitely.
certainly hope not. I mean, listen, the war is what pulled us out of the Great Depression. Oftentimes people will credit FDR. That just isn't true. The bad news is we were a very different country at that point. We're not that country now. So I don't think a war is going to help us like that.
We were unified? Like,
No. Oh. So it'll be very interesting to see you guys watch this most recent deep dive. So I give a lot of facts about what we were capable of at the beginning of World War II in terms of our, well, really even before World War I, with our manufacturing capabilities. It was insane. Now we're like some ridiculously small amount of global manufacturing. I mean, it's crazy. So the fact that we don't make things here other than software and services is very distressing. So right now, the country, and I'm going to let you guess, I don't normally do this, but I think you're going to nail this one. What country do you think has the kind of manufacturing stats today that America had right before World War
China.
II?
Easy.
Correct.
Easy.
So China, by the numbers, is the new America, but much, much bigger.
Man.
That's bad. That's very bad. They are your biggest rival, and they control your entire modern way of life. The vast majority of the supply chains for weapons. It's not good.
Wasn't that the transition from Britain to the U.S.? Superpower transitions. Wasn't that bad because they spoke English? And if like China becomes the world superpower, like we're not gonna like have to learn. Like
I mean, that was
like,
a big part of it because we could become allies with England very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And so we had already had, call it 100 years of getting over you used to be a colony, you smug, impudent, little bastards.
Like,
and now,
exactly. We were shared families, like siblings, almost type thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, that's part of it. But the other part is the British and American cultures are so similar.
Gotcha.
Chinese culture is authoritarian, top-down, collectivist, and America is bottom-up, individualistic. And so, like, when you talk to Chinese people, they love China. Like, don't be confused. Of course, there are going to be people that don't. But for the most part, like, the Chinese people I've interfaced with, they love their country. They have pride, as they should. I'm not at all surprised. But boy, are we different. So this is me trying to get everybody to focus on values is your beef. It isn't the fact that they look different than me. Yeah. It is the fact that they have a different value set.
Because they're going so hard again, like they're going so far in front of us, does it even make sense with them to leverage a war or leverage any type of conflict? Because it's like, you already, like, on paper, they're winning. Like, bigger, stronger, manufacturing, real GDP, depending on how you look at it, if you turn your head and take out the government, like, they're beating us in the essential categories that companies use to rank each other. What benefit do they have of, like, starting a conflict? I feel like they could just keep doing their own thing and ignore
which
us.
They would want to do until they're so big that it's just self-evident. And so that's certainly the play that they want to do.
Got you.
They want to get into a position where they could march onto the beaches of Taiwan. Taiwan wouldn't resist. America wouldn't say shit about it because we know we're not going to fuck with China. They don't want to get into a hot war. But I don't think China's afraid of a hot war. So it's one of those where peace through strength, keep growing your power as much as you can. America and China will fight the war cold for as long as they can. It'll be economic, it'll be alliances, it'll be all the things that we saw v Russia, but heightened. It'll be a battle for AI supremacy. It'll be a battle for energy supremacy, all of that stuff long before it becomes kinetic. But those battles will also be rough. Like the Cold War was fascinating. In some ways, it galvanizes you. It focuses your attention. It gives people somebody to challenge. So when you look at somebody like Palmer Luckey, the CEO of Anduril, you realize, oh yeah, this is a guy going hard in the paint because he looks out there and he sees real enemies, enemies that are amassing troops at the gates. And he's like, our military, like he was the one that introduced me to the fact that China makes 200 ships or maybe 2,000. It was the number was so startling, but let's just say it's 200. 200 ships for every one we make. Like imagine being outproduced at that level. Like that is, dude, people don't know what that means. That is not good. That is very bad. So,
okay. And then I know I'm in this rabbit hole, but I want to like expand this. Do you think that we really could ramp up? Like, I think what's happening right now is everybody...
Ramp up manufacturing.
Yeah, I feel like everybody thinks they knows better. And that's why we're fractaling in so many different things. It's like, they're saying this, the other side's saying this, I know better, you know better, you're broke, you're dumb, you're poor, you're black, whatever. Like,
we're doing this weird dance between are we going to go into open revolution or civil war or get our shit together on the international stage first?
Yeah. So I feel like if China really was like, all right, America's sweet now, boom, dropped a bomb on San Bernardino County, took out half, that wouldn't
be a smart play for them because you'll turn the entire world against you. But what would be a smart play for them is imagine you're Deng Xiaoping, Mao finally dies, you take over, and you go, okay, listen, guys, gather around. We're going to spend the next 40 years, we're going to get really strong. And we're going to do that by being the hub of manufacturing for the world. And we're going to invite Americans to come over and teach us about capitalism. And you do, and they teach you everything. And you start getting really strong. And you realize, oh my God, we've got this incredible card that we can play, which is we'll enslave our own people. So we'll put up nets around Foxconn so that Apple is incentivized to come here to get cheap labor, and we won't even let them kill themselves. This is all real. And so they become not only the manufacturing hub for the world, they become the advanced manufacturing hub of the world. And there's a great line in The Social Network where the character playing Mark Zuckerberg says, China's so big, they have more geniuses than America has anything. And I remember thinking, oh God, like that's hard to digest. And so now you've got incredibly smart, hard-driven, moral, wonderful, like all the things that you think anybody has a monopoly on. Nobody has a monopoly on that shit. They've got all that too, but a whole lot more of whatever. And they're just building. Now, they're not as good at us as at innovating. They don't have freedom, and freedom is just better for certain things, namely innovation. So there's no doubt that we have some advantages, they have some advantages, and so they're playing their advantages. So Deng Xiaoping is like, we're going to grow really strong, but we're going to be quiet about it. We're not going to say shit. And so for a long time, they just keep more powerful. GDP skyrocketing, going from like $260. These are not literal numbers, but they're very close. $260 GDP per person to like 12,500. So in a generation, imagine, like while your wages stagnated in that same time period, there's 30x. That's the real number. That much I know is true. Okay.
And about 60% of us can't read past the 6 year.
Correct. So all of that, and China's turning out people that know how to read. Okay. I'm not saying that they're creating some mythical super soldier. They're all human too, but like they're really doing the thing.
They know how to read.
Yeah.
At the very minimum.
So they're like pushing their students to get hyper skilled. They're parsing them out based on ability. Everything's meritocracy, yada, yada. Okay. Then you get this guy named Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping goes, hold on. I saw what happened in Russia. We're not playing that game. So all you guys that are getting uppity, we're not here for that. So he boots like 100,000 or something people out of top roles in the Communist Party that he doesn't think are loyal, kills a few, disappears a couple billionaires, namely Jack Ma, the most famous, literally like a day or 3 days before his IPO, 70 billion IPO, just insane. He says, I don't like the way that our banks give loans. Disappeared, kidnapped him, literally, re-educate him, and let everybody know in the entrepreneurial class, you serve at the pleasure of Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping goes, oh, by the way, it's time to let America know. And so he now, as an act of policy, says we are going to be dismissive of America. We are no longer going to like play the little bro role and abide our time and get strong. We are now dismissive of them on the world stage. And so they start showing their hand. They start openly going against the dollar. They're building this gold corridor all across South America. They're letting people know, basically, they're not saying exactly this, but like, we're going to re-peg our yuan to gold. You're going to be able to get gold. We're not going to control it. Like, you guys are going to be able to access it. So we won't do what Nixon did to you guys in 1971. Like, you're actually going to be able to get your gold. So start doing transactions in yuan because we're going to protect you. And they're doing all these Belt and Road alliances, all that stuff, right? Okay, so you want to know why America's funding Argentina? Because they can't have Argentina break China, like break their way. So it's like, we've got to go and now get some of these guys shored up. Probably something similar happening in Venezuela. So you're getting like all of this geopolitical maneuvering. But China is now like coming forward and just saying, we are reunifying with Taiwan, whether America wants us to or not, I don't give a shit. And so I forget what timeline he's put on it, but it's like, they really do plan to make those moves. They really are being dismissive of America. They are not hiding anymore that they are strong. They see themselves as number one, not just in their region, number one, that they have a mandate from heaven to basically be the central kingdom, the like center of everything. So brace yourself. Gonna be a wild, call it 25 years.
I interrupted the super chat for that. Sorry.
I was about to say, we went a long way on the super chat.
Fractal.
Pretty solid.
That's on me.
And had more come in while we were away. Speaking of more coming in, the next one from Nunya. So many from Nunya today. Difference between Chinese and American. Chinese is linear. U.S. is imaginative. Their genius doesn't matter if they can think outside the box. Also, Chinese geniuses are going to be old and dead soon. They don't have replacements.
Yeah, they've got demographic problems. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. Demographics is destiny, as they say. We'll see. But having a one-child policy is already biting them in the ass. But I don't buy the whole weak China thing. We'll see.
All right, let's put a pin in that. I feel like we've been on Super Chats for 20 minutes. I love you guys. We'll come back around at the bottom of the next hour. Stick around if you want your Super Chats read. Okay. We got to go to Brazil right now because it is turning into a war zone with some of this footage that's coming out. About 2,500 cops rode into Rio before sunrise to take on Red Command, one of Brazil's biggest drug gangs. Gang members answered with bullets, burning cars, barricades, and for the first time ever in Brazil, drone drop explosives.
You have to do this. You have to do this. You cannot let drug lords like post up in your countries. Yeah. And you get so much corruption in these governments, it just becomes impossible to fight back. I'm super encouraged by this.
The death toll hit 80 by noon. 4 cops were among the dead. The governor says Rio is effectively at war, and based on the skyline, he is not kidding.
Look at that, man.
You can just kind of see all of the burning, all the things that's happening right now.
This is why you enforce laws.
It is wild.
This is why you enforce laws. Like when you just let these people go into certain areas and they can entrench, like they just get more and more powerful. These guys are sophisticated, just like you get geniuses in East Coast Ivy League schools. You get geniuses in the hood. And so, yeah, these guys that are doing and selling drugs, they're going to be able to recruit their own share of geniuses, and they start doing fancy, highly technical stuff. Did you see the USOs? I know they were called that, off of Fort Lauderdale. Oh my God. Do a quick search for USO Fort Lauderdale. This is one that I didn't think was going to stick to my ribs. I had no idea I was going to bring this up, so I didn't grab it. But this is, you got to see this. I don't even want to give it away. Scroll down. Yeah, that right there. Okay. Everybody look at your screen. So, Drew, what are those? You have unidentified, I assume, sunken objects. I don't know what the S stands for. Submerged, that's probably more likely. Unidentified submerged objects. Yeah, now, hey, this video could just be a guy like dropping lights and trying to do something fancy, and he's just making a video. Totally get how this could be that. But also, we know that the cartels use submarines to get product to the United States. And
I was wondering, I was like, how do we get from drug cartels to aliens? I was so confused.
I'm saying they get so sophisticated.
No, I'm with you.
They like get engineers to build them like the most crazy contraptions. So now, again, I don't know what this is, but it is not an alien. It's either fake or my guess is drug cartel related.
Like light packages. I remember, I'll never forget this. I read Freakonomics for the first time, and they broke down one of like Chicago drug pins, and he said the structure is corporately similar to a McDonald's.
Yes.
Like from the top to the bottom, to the corporate infrastructure, to the bureaucrats, to even how they do the laundering, everything. So it's not just a bunch of dudes with do-rags who are just selling drugs. Like there's a lot of...
I had at Quest, so put out the word on the street that even if you had felony convictions, we would consider you for employment. It's all because I believe it doesn't matter who you are today, it matters who you want to become, the price you're willing to pay to get there. Okay, so we end up getting all these gang members, drug dealers, I thought former drug dealers, applying. And some of them were amazing. Some ended up being my favorite people in the world, just absolutely incredible people. Some ended up being dirtbags. But anyway, we got this one guy, and he had originally taken the job for a front for his drug money so he could go to his parole officer and say, I got a job here. And he ended up breaking down for me how his organization was structured. And I was like, you're a brilliant entrepreneur. I was like, you don't call them employees, but you have employees. You don't think of it as a corporate structure, but you have a corporate structure. Like different people have even different names of what they do. And I was like, you guys have to be incredibly sophisticated about how to move and market your product. Like he was talking about, because I was like, how do you not get caught? And he was like, first of all, everybody can be identified. This will age the conversation, but everybody can be identified by their whip. And so I'm like, okay, so you know who's undercover? Yes. And you know when they change based on what car they're driving? Yes. He was like, also, and I still can't believe this was in America. He was like, I kept a wad of cash in my back pocket. So when I get pulled over and they would frisk me, they would find the money and they would just leave me alone. And I was like, holy bejesus. And he was like, you know where the cameras are. You know what their blind spots are. So you know where you can post people up. I was like, this is wild. And yeah, all very crazy. And for anybody that doesn't know what a trap house is, that's horrifying. But like all of this stuff is It's very sophisticated, very sophisticated. And once I realized, oh, what you sell is risk, then I was like, got it. Like what they're actually making money off of isn't the sale of the thing. It's that thing has so much risk associated with its sale that is the moat that keeps all the competition out. And so, in fact, that's a better way to say it. Their moat is risk. And so if you're willing to take on all that risk and you have the sophistication of a like proper entrepreneur, whoa, like these guys move units.
Are you one of those people from the school of thought that if they were in a different environment, they would be somewhere on like
100%.
Wall Street type thing?
100%. It's just humans. If you took any one of those kids and raised them in an affluent neighborhood, they would have done affluent kid shit. And like some of the stories from those guys like were wild. One of the kids got jumped on the way home. His own mother sees him beaten to shit, and she puts a bullet on the table. Goes, does that bullet have a name? And he just goes, yes. Takes it, puts it in the gun, and starts looking for him on the street. Thankfully, he doesn't find him. But I was like, yo, when your mom is like, you need to handle that business, to a 13-year-old, I was just like, whoa, that my mom's reaction would have been very different. It would have been straight to the principal. Who did this to my son? So yeah, you end up reflecting the world around you. There was another kid who his stepfather was shot in the head and killed, drug dealer. And so his mom was like, you got to take over the family business. So he was a teenager, ends up taking over the family business, drugs. And I was just like, whoa. So yeah, super bright. Not all of them, obviously. No matter where you go, you're going to find smart people, you're going to find dumb people. But I was scandalized by how bright, how savvy some of these guys were. And honestly, I was like, I don't know if I'd be an entrepreneur if every day I had to worry about people showing up with shotguns to steal my protein powder. I was just like, I don't know, man. That's a lot of risk. I don't know that I come on the other side of that. And I have a huge appetite for risk, but nobody's tried to kill me for my protein powder.
Yeah. Man.
Very different game.
You ready for a dark transition?
Let's go.
Speaking of killing people, let's go over to the UK now, where we have footage of an Afghan man attacking that was terrible.
Yeah.
Thoughts and prayers.
No kidding. Also, by the way, this is extremely graphic. So if you've got kids or you're squeamish, you don't want to watch this. This one's rough. But here we go.
This was reported yesterday, and as you can see, there's
This is broad daylight.
Squabble.
A squabble.
And
from what I heard, he doesn't know this guy at all.
I thought they looked like they were
Nope.
yelling.
He's literally just walking his dog, and they must argue about something.
Yeah.
I have no idea what, but this guy stabbed him to death. Just stabs him to death. I'm talking, if you're not watching,
Sheesh.
overhand. I mean, what's he get him 12, 15 times? This is not like poke and run off.
Crazy.
He is just stabbing the literal life out of this man in broad daylight. This is so wild. And he goes on to attack a couple more people. Now, look, I don't know. This, mentally ill? Could be. But this, obviously, in a country where you're inviting a whole lot of immigrants in that do not share your values, and you give them a spark like this, buckle up. We'll see, man. We'll see.
And
But
then
this
Elon
is,
Musk retweeted, "Civil war in Britain is inevitable, just a question of when."
Yeah.
I feel like there's this similar notion of civil war. I don't know if this is just another example of populism. We need somebody to blame.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, that is like, if you're going to nutshell it, when people are economically insecure, then that economic insecurity turns into, it starts as anxiety. Nobody wants to sit in that. So they transmute it into anger. And then when you actually have a real problem, then it becomes easy to point people at that. And the real problem is very simple. You have a clash of cultures. I don't need you to believe one side is right over the other. I just need you to understand that the physics of the human mind is that when you encounter people that don't share your value system, you start killing each other. So, and just to make that one easy for people, Protestants and Catholics in Ireland They were all white as the driven snow, and they were killing each other as fast as they could. So when ideologies differ, people start killing. So welcome to the human experience.
There's a clip I want to pull from the Rudyard Tim Pool interview because he asked him this question: does he see civil war? And I like Rudyard's response because I think this is something that's
surprising.
This was something that we always overthink. The part I'm talking about though is when he was like, I don't think that this will do it because
same.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be like, yeah. And he was like, well, so it's a very tempered and very insightful response.
Yeah, it comes from basically intimation because my search is not working and YouTube is hating.
That's fun.
You can cut it. Well, it comes to intimation that poor people in America specifically, they were talking about on the backs of Snapocalypse, they won't rise up for a civil war because effectively they have no power. They don't have the same infrastructure. They don't have the same guns as a private. Now, America has very specific people. If Elon Musk is wronged, he has enough money to get a bunch of mercenaries. He could do battle with the U.S. Army. You know, not directly, but at least.
So I'll try to get very close to verbatim. When Tim Pool asks Rudyard Lynch, aka What If Alt Hist, if he thinks that the Snapocalypse, as some people are calling it, the end of the SNAP benefits, will cause a revolution in America, he said a couple points. One, it's very hard to starve in America. So because people won't necessarily be hungry enough, they won't have enough agitation. Then also the only times that you see actual revolutions are when you have a group that is politically savvy and influential enough to actually get well organized and then like really cause a meaningful problem to the government. And he said, this is why a lot of times you will see when people are trying to hold power in like a communist regime, they'll just kill all of those people. And so unfortunately, when like the Shah of Iran took power, he killed like 30,000 leftists. So the very people that helped get him into power ended up being a threat to him because he saw, oh, you guys were so well organized, you got me here, but you also don't believe the things that I believe. And so now I've got to kill you guys. So killed like 30,000 and exiled a bunch more. And that's how he gained power. So if you're not well organized, and that's the next part of his argument, is if you're just poor, unorganized working person, you can't generate enough momentum to actually do something meaningful. You can sort of, what was the Occupy Wall Street of it all, but they didn't know what they wanted. They didn't have one clear agenda. There was no one clear leader. And so their energy just dissipated over time. So without that very concrete, well-organized, very clear agenda, you're not going to do anything big.
Yeah. So does that, to me, that gave me a bit of relief because there was a lot of, the Snapocalypse is going to happen and people are going to freak out and they're going to riot and they're going to do all these things. Where it's like, yes, they might do those things, but is that the equivalent to a BLM No Kings protest? I don't think it's actually going to get to National Guard. Trump needs to intervene.
The SNAP thing.
Yeah, on the results of the SNAP thing. But
the only way I can answer the SNAP thing is it's so rare that something really pops off. I don't think we're there yet. But that's not necessarily specifically because I have a whole set of facts and I'm looking at it. I'm just saying, from a historical perspective, like those kind of things, it's rare that they actually end up popping off. And we're not at the 30% unemployment. There isn't enough focused like this person. The closest thing, even during 2020, when you had the flashpoint of very specifically, we're all locked down, we're all freaked out, we don't know if we're safe, we don't know what our economic future looks like, and we think the government is killing underserved people, then it's like, okay, you really had a chance for things to properly pop off. And even then, don't get me wrong, it was bad, but it wasn't revolution, civil war bad. So if that didn't spill us over, we're in a better position now than we were in 2020. So I don't think.
Unfortunately, I think it's going to be worse. I think it's going to be a slow, painful death versus a revolution. And I'm saying
you'd rather see a revolution.
It's not that I'd rather see a revolution. It's just that I don't think we have the juice for a revolution, to be honest with you, because I think a lot of this bold rhetoric is YouTube and internet talk. And when you get face to face with somebody, your courage is a lot
different. Is that a good or a bad thing in your mind?
That
that we don't have enough juice for a revolution?
I think for a bloodiness perspective, it is good. The comma, however, part comes into the we aren't collaborative enough to come around the corner of it, though, because I don't think that that's also going to then lead to a kumbaya moment, kind of like we had Civil War, because we don't have the, okay, guys, no more slaves. We're all friends now. Let's hug it out. I don't think there's going to be a time where like, okay, guys, let's hug it out. No more illegals. We're friends now. Or, okay, let's just split the difference, 50-50 tax. Everybody's good now. Let's hug it. Like, I don't see a common ground for the right and the left right now, even if everybody kind of tried to meet in the middle of their policies, because we're so sprung out.
Yeah, revolutions almost always lead to tyranny. It is beyond shocking what we pulled off in America. I mean, beyond shocking that we were able to get the states, which were essentially separate countries at that point, all together to rebel in unison, and then to actually, and it wasn't immediately after, but like a decade after, we get them to ratify the Constitution of the U.S.
Yeah.
Very impressive. Very impressive. And I don't know, man. I don't know if it was just that particular moment in time. Like, I got hit up by somebody who was basically like, Tom, there's going to need to be a second founding of the country, and we need voices like you. And I was like, yeah, this is not real.
You wouldn't
Like,
go to
cannot fathom.
Freedom Papers? No.
I would, but
What's
I don't.
the convention that the Hamilton, not the where he did the Freedom Papers? It was the Federalist Convention or something?
No, God, if it's one of those where if I didn't have to say it out loud, I would know exactly
Yes.
what it was.
Anybody know that? Anybody watch Hamilton?
The convention.
The convention that they had to go to?
Yep.
In the
Chad's
chat?
going to tell us. Chad's going to tell
We'll
us.
get there.
So,
All right, let's
I don't think we're at that point. I don't think we could agree. I think if we had a revolution in America right now, it would end up like the Arab Spring. Just so many people pulling in different directions that you just end up getting the most tyrannical person that can hold everybody together, taking back power.
sounds like Trump if we had to.
Would he be
With
able
all
to?
the with all the
if,
people, with all
if
the
he was
players
willing to
right
shoot a
now.
bunch of people, it like if the military rocked with him and he could get him to shoot people, yes. But if the military broke away, no.
Constitutional Convention. Thank you guys. That was so easy too. We dropped the ball on that.
Yeah,
one.
we did.
Um.
Thank you, Chad.
All right, let's do some quick hits. I want to talk about this auto pen. I want to talk about this aliens.
This alien thing is kind of capturing my imagination.
I know. I feel like we're gonna spend more time. That's why I want to go to the auto pen
All right,
first.
let's go. I got to earn my alien talk.
Yes. I
Okay,
feel like we're gonna get
fair,
fractal.
Let's go.
Okay, so Scott Jennings was on CNN yesterday talking about the Oversight Committee's report. So the GOP-led Oversight Committee has released a report that's saying they are pushing to void all of Biden's pardons because they were done by auto pen, and they're saying that because they were done by auto pen, they don't trust that he knew about the pardons that were happening.
Yeah, some of the testimony, I don't know if you've watched any of the testimony, pretty damning
In the sense of
that Biden really didn't know.
he was just like, oh, okay, go ahead, you got it.
No, that they weren't even asking him. Some of the people in the testimony, they were like, how often did you see Joe Biden? And be like, I saw him like, I think twice in my tenure. Like, what? So, yeah, it was very startling. But yeah, let's play this.
Tradition of auto pens has existed in every presidential administration across parties. I had an auto pen when I worked at ICE.
I'm sorry, Elliot Williams.
Elliot Williams literally had an auto pen.
You were important enough to have an auto pen. I'm so impressed.
I am important, Casey. But no, and so it's a common practice.
Did you allow people to use the name Elliot Williams without your knowledge of the document or what was on the page?
I don't recall. So
I'm asking you,
No,
if you were a government official and you had an auto pen, which you did, would you let some staffer sign things in your name without reading?
Yeah, here's the question. Was my authority delegated to that person? And I think they do have the authority to do so. Laws and regulations, and I'm serious, Scott, laws and regulations.
The authority to delegate pardons and executive orders, the President of the United States can say, you unelected staffer can go sign my name on a document that I've never seen for a decision that I've never made?
Quite often, the United States Code delegates authority. So through the President of the United States,
Pause
through
for
the
a sec.
Attorney General,
Honestly,
whatever.
shout out to CNN for having differing views. It's very interesting to see these guys argue this stuff. I do enjoy that. But so they're going to go back and forth, and Scott just keeps basically saying, like, there's no way you can't delegate these kinds of things. The real argument to me is far less interesting about the auto pen itself and is far more, did Biden actually want these pardons to happen? And just going back to the principle of whatever you do to them, they are going to do to you when you lose power. So these boys and girls just need to be very thoughtful. Do you really want to go undo the power of the presidential pardon so that now all of these things are being fought? I don't think we do. So I would much rather like, hey, if we really don't think Biden did these, then get him, talk to him directly, put him under oath, and just say, did you want to pardon all these people? And he is, of course, going to say, yes, of course I did. Great. Is it a cover story? Probably. But will I take it to move forward so that we don't find ourselves in this stupid political battle? Yes. And I just really can't understand how these guys cannot look forward into the future and go, oh God, they're going to weaponize this against us. There's so much of the government that just operates on decorum, what all call British common law. So the whole idea behind common law is there's just some things that everyone just sort of does. Like, well, this is how we've done it. And you can update it and you can put something on the books and say, okay, we may have done that, but like this doesn't make sense anymore, new law. But that way things stand the test of time. And I know like even in an entrepreneurial context, I will beat people to death and say, just because you've always done it that way does not mean you should do it that way in the future. But from a law perspective, seeing that some things have withstood the test of time is very useful. So when these guys seem to be totally ignorant of that fact, not everything is on the books. A lot of it is just we all agree that we don't do that thing. And they start like tearing all of that stuff apart. Things will get unhinged very fast.
Yeah. When I seen this on the dial, I was like, okay, let me like dig into it. Maybe there's something I'm missing, but I do kind of agree. I feel like this is a delegation thing. Now, of course, I'll use our specific example. Like when people want to come on the show, I get thousands of pitches like, hey, I'll be perfect for Tom's show. And it's a dude that sells supplements. I don't necessarily need to go, hey, Tom, do you need like, should I?
Right.
I kind of have a good gauge of like, yes, no. And I know from their perspective, they're like, oh, this dude is gatekeeping. If I can just get around him, I'll be fine. Now at the same time, we have this conversation. I can't just add people to your calendar either. So it's not like I get free reign. But I do think we have to assume that President Biden, in good faith, just like President Trump when he signed in executive orders, I might not know, is this executive order 145-1 about, this is the one about the border, right, that we talked about? Okay, cool. I don't need to go line for line. Sure. It's kind of assuming that the people I put in power are setting me up for success. So I agree that like I don't think that this is the hill that they want to die on. So I'm hoping that this is just a slow news day talking point and not something that they're actually
They're really going to push this one. The DOJ is going to bring charges for sure. This is one where I think there are certain things that shouldn't be delegatable. Pardons is one of them. Because I think in the Constitution, it says like only the executive can do it. So it's very clear about that. But there are many things that, of course, auto pen, somebody else. I trust you, just do it. Like that kind of thing is fine for like the lower level stuff. But pardons. And
so
because
we physically signed 600 documents. I think it was 1,600 pardons that Biden did or something like that. So
that comes down to like, how are we going to use the auto pen? Like, is there one thing where it's put in front of Biden that says, I authorize these 1,600 names to be auto penned, and then you at least sign that. So you've got some documentation. I'd be all for that.
Gotcha.
But we're at the point now where I think it makes sense to get Biden under oath and just have him say, yes, I wanted all those people pardoned. And then everybody calm the fuck down and let the pardon stand. You can be as mad as you want, but otherwise we're just going to turn the Democrats and the Republicans into increasingly violently opposed forces, and they will just come at each other nonstop. And then fewer and fewer people will want to enter the government because you just feel like, this is dangerous, man. I don't want to go to jail. Like, I don't want the other side taking something that I did in good faith, but we ended up like handling the paperwork wrong, and now they can put me away, and everyone would agree this should be charged as a misdemeanor, but instead they're doing a felony and getting a max sentence. Like, that is not a world we want to live in, man. Egads.
Egads.
And here's the thing. Do the people saying he will lie? Yeah. Totally. I get that. I'm fine with that. We need a way to heal and move forward, as cheesy as that sounds. So if he's going to stand by it now, great.
Big J 8924. So we're not gonna talk about the Epstein list. We are never getting that list. That list is never coming out.
It's wild how
Never gonna
just
see it.
in plain sight. I feel I'm as aghast about the Epstein files getting rug pulled on that as watching that guy get stabbed to death. Like, how in broad daylight, how do you do this? Like, you literally campaigned on, son, we got you. On what day, Drew? Day one. And what day are we now? We're at like a year. What is happening? In the one where he goes, people still talking about that? Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
The thing you campaigned on? Yeah. Believe it or not, we're still talking about it. Oh, the elite pedophile ring where kids are getting trapped. Yeah, we're still talking about it. What a shock. Like, that was like, bro, come on. That was mishandled grotesquely.
Mr. G said, how credible is Whitney Webb? We will not take Whitney Webb slander on this channel. We are team Whitney Webb. Whitney Webb is
I do
homie,
love Whitney Webb.
friend of the channel. No Whitney Webb slander.
Is there like slander coming at Whitney Webb?
I don't know.
I guess nonstop.
He just said, yeah, because she goes against, like, Whitney Webb broke a lot of things before we said, like, it was going to break. She was the first one that was like, yeah, the Epstein file is too corrupt. Y'all not going to get that.
Now, listen, no one, it's not like I think Whitney Webb can be wrong. Of course, Whitney Webb can be wrong. And I would happily challenge Whitney Webb if I thought she was wrong about something. But she seems very sincere and she is a lovely human being. So,
And she was the first one that brought up that Palantir government data, all that stuff way back when. That was like a year and a half ago.
Did you see that NVIDIA and Palantir are basically the same company now?
Crazy.
I was like, okay, when I click in these comments, am I going to see investors like championing this, or am I going to see privacy people having a seizure? It was all investors. It's all investors. I really look at the stock market different now that I know that 10% own 93% of the world. It's like, bro, all the 60% of people that have a 6th grade reading level, none of them are doing it. This is one of the reasons that I absolutely love Wall Street Trapper. Wall Street Trapper. Wall Street. If this somehow gets to you, my man, you are doing God's work. Keep going. Because he was a guy that learned about the stock market in prison. And he had a cellmate that was just like, oh my God, you guys doing all this dumb ass drug dealing bullshit. Like, this is so stupid. Will you please learn about the stock market? He teaches him. He goes out, goes completely straight, builds an incredible like personal portfolio, teaches other people, builds a secondary business as a content creator, both smash. It's insane. So yeah, be in the 10%, boys and girls.
We gotta make a trip to Atlanta. Go check him out. This is the thing that radicalized me. Just 3% of companies generated all the net wealth in the U.S. stock market since 1926.
That's distressing.
Big.
I have a feeling this is a statistical weird thing. Like in any one time, it's more spread out than that. But the way that it consolidates over time, because you just have so many failures, that's sort of inevitably true. So if you think about it this way. 90% of all companies launched failed to reach $1 million in revenue. 94 or 96%, I forget which, let's say 94% failed to get to 10 million in revenue. And I shudder to think how many failed to get to 100 million. So it's like you just have so many companies going in that, yes, as a percentage, that number is always going to be very low. But at any one time, I mean, right now, even knowing that right now, the fact that 7 companies drive all the gains is so shockingly anomalous that people are like, wait, hold on. So it has not always been, just invest in whatever 3 companies. That's very, very rare.
All right. So I'm talking about aliens. Three-Eye Atlas.
This, you got to show Michio Kaku first.
Oh, okay.
So Michio Kaku basically gives credibility. Once the credibility is established, then we'll look at that image. But this is crazy. I did not think Michio Kaku was going to say the world's divided on this. I thought he was going to be like, it's a rock, boys and girls. It's a rock.
Because that was the story. The story was it was a rock. We didn't know what it was. Then we had to wait until it got closer so we could get better images of it. And it's looking like a ship.
It's close. This is wild. I love there have been people posting enhanced versions, of course, not saying this is AI. And when you see the AI version, it's like hysterical. But we'll get to that. We got to earn it first, Drew.
Here it is. Okay.
Selling author of Quantum Supremacy, Michio Kaku. So this mystery object has been added to the International Asteroid Warning Network. That's the first interstellar object ever to make that list. So I got to ask you, what the heck is 3i Atlas, and why the clouds of mystery around it? NASA's like tight-lipped.
Well, there's a split in the astronomical community. The majority faction says, what's all the fuss about? I mean, it's just a rock from outer space, and it's going to come through our solar system for the first time and then come whizzing back out again. It's the third known object from outside our solar system, so what's the fuss? Another faction, however, says, now, wait a minute. Perhaps this is a visitor, an intelligent visitor from another solar system, and perhaps this week we could have a test of it. That's right. This week, it turns out that the asteroid or comet will be whizzing around our sun, and if it picks up extra energy on its flyby, that would clinch it. That means there's extraterrestrial intelligence involved. So watch for it. On October 30th, starting then, we're going to track it.
I don't think he explains how we'll know if they've picked up extra energy. So I'll trust that scientists are going to freak out if they do. So we'll get the answer. But this is wild that the closer it gets, the more we're like, say what? Yeah. What is this thing? Okay, now let's take a look at the actual like close-up. Now, as far as I know, this is legitimate footage, but I can't swear to it. But this was shocking. This is like a really distant one, but they have one that's much closer. I think the reason they show this one is it like slightly changes course or seems to.
Yo, hold on. This is the wrong link.
Yeah, we need the one.
I just had it up. I just had it up. There it is.
All right. Looks like an amoeba. This is wild. Okay. If you're not looking at your screen, I mean, this really looks like a weird shaped something with a whole bunch of lights on it. And the lights are way too symmetrical to just be completely random. But weirder things have happened. So I'm like trying to think, is it possible that these are like some sort of ore and they're reflecting light off of this? I don't know, man. This is wild. There's no, I literally can't allow myself to believe that like today on a random Wednesday, aliens roll up and they're just like, what's up guys? Just cruising by. That would be the wildest shit ever.
And to be fair, it's passing the sun, so it's entering into our solar system now.
Yes.
It got notoriety. The third.
Well, technically, I think it would already have to be in our solar system to pass the sun.
Yeah.
But
it's the third interstellar object ever recorded in history. But the reason that they're waiting to see what happens when it passes the sun is, assumedly, if you get something hot, they'll try to alter their course, they'll try to drive around it, or they'll just pick up the energy and like gases will expound like a typical asteroid does in the past. So they're looking to see how it reacts to getting that close to the sun to see like, okay, is this driven by something or is this just a rock floating aimlessly? I don't know. Yes, this image definitely makes it look like more mothershipy,
right?
Especially with the little flicker
when the light runs across it.
Yes.
But why would you have a ship that does that? I was like, that feels more like, but it feels more like something like wind has crossed it that causes some sort of chemical reaction of whatever's there. But then I was like, it's the vacuum of space.
Yeah, there's no wind in space.
So, but and isn't part of their beef that it's not giving off like a comet tail?
Yeah, it's not acting like traditional asteroids have acted before. But there is gases and stuff emanating from it.
I'm so curious what people think this is.
Can we do a poll? See, is this an alien?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes. Chat.
Is this an alien?
Let's go.
Or no? Let's hop in on this and see. Why would an alien ship have lights the same way the United Airlines ship has lights when it flies? Have you ever seen the bacterium under this?
And people are saying there are solar winds in space, so maybe that's what's doing it. It's a giant shiny nickel rock. That's the kind of thing I'm thinking. Like there's just parts that are like more exposed than others. It does look like an amoeba. You're definitely correct about that. We've got some deaf aliens in here. Alien ship is too much fun not to be. I want it to be an alien ship.
We talked about this. There's definitely, the universe is too big for there not to be one other living heartbeat.
Unless it's a simulation. So there's two things that could be real. If this is a simulation and you just set up a bunch of rules and then the rules go crazy, but you put life only on one place because that's what you're trying to simulate to see what it does, that would certainly explain why we can't figure out what is that first thing that triggers life. because you don't need that. That's just the code in the simulation, and
That's the light turning on.
Yeah, it starts at a certain point and then just goes from there. So that's part of why it could be. And then the other would be that as a civilization becomes advanced, they collapse inward into simulations rather than going outward into the excruciatingly dangerous universe. I don't think life will ever form an interstellar space. There's nothing that makes me believe that that would even be remotely possible. So now you get into, you've got to have a planet in a habitable zone, and all of the things we know about life says that you need that. Just the numbers are too staggering for there not to have been life anywhere else. Like that's too crazy to believe. But if they do realize like, okay, we've evolved to be like, okay, on this planet with all of its crazy protections. And so the second we try to leave this atmosphere, like we're going to be taking crazy radiation, like all kinds of bad things, like this is not going to be good. And hey, as we started developing the technology to do all that stuff, we also realized that we could make the Matrix. Far more people are going to, I think, go inside of these virtual worlds in success. I mean, that's what I'm trying to build. It's obviously such a pipe dream right now. I don't want any credit for that, but man, I really hope the whole gaming thing works because it is so thrilling to me. The idea of building something that people could literally experience at a nervous system level in, call it 30 years. Remember, there are people moving robotic arms with their brain implants right now today. So this is not playing video games via telepathy with their brain implants. This is not some far-fetched thing. So that's really actually going to be possible. And man, would that be cool.
Emily Will 4992. It would be so easy to create unity in the world using alien life form threat.
Briefly.
Is this just the Watchman pitch? Is this just? Oh, sorry. Spoiler alert.
It's possible. I don't trust that. Do we have an Adrian Veidt among us?
Yeah, Elon. Obviously,
Elon's the closest.
Obviously.
Elon has banged the drum the hardest, saying, "This is nothing.
There is no aliens."
Yeah, he's like, if there are aliens, he's like, they have not attempted to contact us.
Is he team simulation? He's the one I seen that
he said mathematically the odds of you being in a simulation border on 100% mathematically.
I feel like I hate that conversation because there's a framing issue. It's like, okay, there's no simulation, or we'll be advanced enough to create a simulation, or we're in a simulation, or simulation don't exist. I feel like we forget about that first thing. We just get into the 1, 2, 3 of it all. And that's why you're 67% to be in a simulation or going to be in a simulation.
The problem is, like, at some point you have to base your logic on something. Once you anchor your logic on the world that I'm experiencing right now actually exists, simulated or otherwise, but it actually exists, and then you run into the problem of we are creating a simulation. Everything tells us that a simulation that is indistinguishable from reality is possible. And so once you're like, okay, there are simulations that are indistinguishable from reality. Oh, and by the way, when I look at the laws of physics, it really does operate like a simulation would operate, provably, meaning the universe is not locally real. Okay, so the universe is rendered. The universe renders. There's no better way to say it. So we know that the universe isn't locally real. We've proven that experimentally. So we know that it effectively renders. And everything tells us that we can create a simulation. So it's like, you start stacking those things. And if we can create a simulation, then what would we likely simulate? Ourselves. Okay, if you'll give me both of those leaps, once you give me those 2 leaps, then the odds that you're not in a simulation become vanishingly small. If you don't give those 2, if you believe you can create a simulation, but no one will ever simulate ourselves, or you just can't create a simulation, then it's like, okay, well, then yes, upon your logic, which I reject wholeheartedly, but if that were the logic, then okay, at least you have internal consistency. You'd have a hard time explaining what's going to stop us from doing it right now, but which would then invalidate your hypothesis that it's not possible. But so yeah, mathematically, odds are you're in a simulation.
Let's do it first. Is this an alien? Poll says 56% of you say no. Yes is 44%.
What percent?
56% no.
No. Okay.
44% yes.
I'm in the no camp. I want it to be though. Oh, Drew,
It's
I
a
really
sparkly rock to you.
Yeah, there's going to be some really mundane explanation. And I didn't involve myself in this until now because it was like not coming until the end of October. And when I first heard about it, it was like July or something. I was like, I'm not even going to think about this. Now that it's today, I'm going to be checking my feed every hour to figure out if this is real. And man, do I want it to be true. That would be so cool. I would love that.
Somebody said it's an alien tour bus, and those are phone flashes.
That's hysterical.
On your left, we have the sun.
That's another part of this. Do you know how long at the speeds that they're traveling they would have had to have been traveling? Like, even if we say, well, no, they traveled at near the speed of light for the vast majority of the journey, and now they're just slowing down, they'd still have been traveling just for the length of time that we've been able to pick them up is months and months and months. So what would they send? AI maybe? And that's like a ship full of like processors? I don't know, but it just all becomes very like, why would they do this? Dark Forest is a very interesting concept. If you have not read The 3-Body Problem, read it.
I haven't. They just did a show too. I was supposed to watch it, then I forgot.
If somebody built a perfect simulation, first of all, AI would live inside of it. AI would probably get to the point where it would not know that it's AI. So let's start with that. And then on top of that, I think people, if we have physical bodies, I think people will spend the vast majority of their time inside the simulation. They will come out of the simulation only if they have meaningful personal relationships, which on a long enough timeline, most people will not, and or to preen their physical body, essentially, if we're not able to just, this is so dystopian, suspend it in vats or whatever. But your life inside the simulation will be meaningful, if that helps.
Okay, we need to get to some super chats. I have a tiny fractal because I didn't know this. I just had to fact check it on the side. Have you heard about this Dodge versus Ford case?
No.
Okay,
I've heard about the Nintendo versus Pal World case. Similar? About patents?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, they were both cases. No, everything else is completely different.
They're both companies. They both have cases. There's no other similarities. All right, I tried to get you on to something I care a lot more about.
Are they like in litigation now for
Yes.
that? They're gonna get sued.
Nintendo already are.
No, but Nintendo's gonna win. Like Nintendo's undefeated in court.
Here's the thing.
I hate Nintendo, but they're undefeated. Man.
Nintendo was given a patent for a game mechanic. If that's allowed to stand, which will be insane, video games are fucked because everyone will patent like every mechanic ever.
Yeah.
And then games will suck. So anyway, Drew, Ford and Dodge.
Yes.
What's the beef?
I'm trying to see if somebody has like a quick like
Is juice to increase shareholder value?
You're showing me Ian Carroll. I just
it's automatically the juice.
Dude, that's his brand.
I also want to say I pitched you Ian Carroll like a year ago, and you were like, "Who is this guy?" And then,
admittedly, I remember that,
he
and
popped,
I was like,
and then he went, full juice.
Correct.
Yes.
Now he's all like, "Yo."
We caught him on the upswing. Okay, so
you are correct.
I'm gonna try to speed run it. I'm gonna let him kind of set it up, but basically, Ford wanted to. That's what happened to shareholder value. That was the case that kind of broke that, and companies have to act in shareholder value.
Yep.
Versus doing like
they have
your
a fiduciary
own thing.
responsibility.
Yeah.
Yep.
This set the precedent for current U.S. corporate law. They even provide a source. And what is up with this logo? So just to clarify, one company says, hey, I'm going to pay my employees better because that's the right thing to do. Then a different company, their competitor, objection, Your Honor, objection, illegal. Yeah, a really good habit to get in is to just take 10 seconds to Google it. And in this case, they provided a source, but you can just like take a series of keywords in order from whatever you're looking for. And that's usually a good way to find it. And first, I gotta find this Dodge logo. Is this real?
So this is like back in the day?
Yes.
So wait, Ford was like, we want to pay our people more. And then they just sued them for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like the kind of dumb things that corporations do all the time. They are trying to create a regulatory moat. This is exactly regulatory capture. They don't want to have to deal with that. And so they'll try to cock block them. Now, I know Ford's story, and I know that they end up getting the wages approved because they paid their workers like some insane amount. And people are like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is why I say, if you get the government the hell out of the way, You compete for people by offering bigger salaries, and you compete for customers by making things better and cheaper. And it is only when the government comes in and messes all of that up, forcing minimum wages, forcing all kinds of regulation that becomes incredibly expensive to adhere to, obviously money printing, like it ends up distorting all of this stuff to the point where you can no longer do that. Oh man, you want innovation. You want innovation. This is why I say innovation is one of the North Stars. This is why I rail against the Nordic countries. I do not want to be a Nordic country, man. You're basically saying, I just want mediocrity. I get it. Cool. If that's like your vibe and that's where you want to be, like go do that elsewhere, but don't make America that. America is the place where you come. It is the land of the free. So yeah, I'd much rather see light touch government, stop companies from doing insanely dumb shit like that. Let people get paid more, let prices come down. Like that's the play.
And then we got to talk about this AI bleeding job market. So I thought
this one's big.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting because I didn't realize that that's what started that, like the shareholder value thing, because they didn't want, one, to have to pay their workers more, and two, they were shareholders in Ford and they felt like they were going to get a dividend check that was like cutting into them. But interesting, but to your point, government regulatory capture. These are a lot of people.
A lot.
And
We're not at the beginning anymore, but Amazon, the odds that they do some approximation of the 600,000 that they're rumored to be letting go by 2033, it's very high.
Yeah.
Very high.
And I feel like right behind Amazon is going to be Walmart. It's going to be Target because they have the same warehouses. They do the same automations. They're just waiting for the test dummy to kind of prove this, like proof of
Waiting to
concept.
see how much backlash they get. Yep.
Exactly. So we're seeing a lot of these things happening. I am 100% grateful for entrepreneurs.
Yep.
And I look at this example a lot. Because of your yes, there are now 20-something odd people that have jobs and families and all types of things. So God bless the entrepreneurs, all that stuff. However, that ratio, if we had to extrapolate that, can that be sustainable enough? Because right now it seems like the job losses are coming in waves faster than new companies are coming into practice. So I feel like we're starting to hit a net negative, not to mention the government employees that if Trump gets his way with this federal shutdown that we talked about, that he hired, like, let's go even more people, we can really see a substantial number of people who had quote unquote 9-to-5 safe jobs now being unemployed with jobs that don't exist no more in industries that are fading away quickly. What is there to do?
True. This one is legitimately scary because the way that I play this out in my mind is as follows. Every revolution that we've had previously technologically created more jobs than it got rid of. So nobody should cry for the lamplighter, although I'm sure there was legitimate human tragedy in a guy could feed his family one day and couldn't the next, and his wife ends up leaving him because he can't make ends meet, and she finds a guy that can, and I mean, just like all of it, and he loses his kids and he becomes an alcoholic. I'm sure all of that is true, but the reality is that you have to distribute the pain and suffering. So when you try to make sure that nobody can fail, you just stagnate society and then everyone fails. So you're in a position where you have to just say there's going to be creative destruction. Electricity comes along, lamplighters go out of business, automobiles come along, horse and carriage, all that stuff goes away. And it just is what it is. And historically, more jobs got created by electricity than we lost. So cool, this is a net win. We're all moving in the right direction. Industrial revolution, same with all that stuff. And then I think about what's going on with the AI revolution and I go, you're creating something that's going to be better than me at everything. It will, on a long enough timeline, be indistinguishable from humans to where you'll be tricked. You'll have a friend and it'll be like the crying game. And you're having sex and you can feel a bolt inside. I mean, it's literally going to be some shit like that. And you're like, wait! And we're going to get the what are they called? The Comp Voight machines or whatever from, oh God, it's not Cyberpunk. It is Blade Runner. And that's all going to happen. And so I'm like, okay, these things are going to be not a little bit smarter than me. Not like Einstein is smarter than me, like 1,000 times smarter than me, 10,000 times smarter than me. and embodied. So now I'm like, what do I do exactly? And so then you realize only people that can monetize the fact that they are human will have a job. But then you go, but the reality is that the bots are going to make everything free. So now I've got this hyper intelligent being that will know how to capture energy from the sun, will be clever in ways that we just aren't. And so energy becomes free, labor becomes free, and that means everything is free. And you are limited only by the resources that you can capture here on Earth or in asteroids as they fly by. Or maybe you can even synthesize things. Like, think about this. Plants turn sunlight and dirt into physical structure that you can eat and survive. So you can transmute things hard. And so if this thing gets really good, it could be like capturing like bacteria from the air and mixing it with sunlight and turning it into whatever the fuck. So we may not even have to like go farm master, I don't know, like, but whatever. Like with enough energy, you can actually manufacture gold. You really can turn lead into gold. It just takes so much energy. It's pure insanity. So once energy is free though, so you might be able to just make whatever you want. Okay, so it's a world of abundance. Everybody has basically whatever they want. So it's like we're trying to think through this literally unimaginable future through the lens of what we're like today. So I'm both supremely confident that there will be a world of abundance on the other side of AI, and I'm supremely confident that there will be a ton of bloodshed between here and there because people are going to freak out. So at a minimum, the bloodshed will be religious, even if it doesn't end up being economic. Like, let's just say we like the companies solve like artificial superintelligence in the background. They real quick spin up like everything's free and then they launch it. And it's like, yay, no one has to worry. Everybody eats starting right now. So even in a there's no time to have a bad transition period scenario, there's still the loss of meaning and purpose. There's still the religious battle that's going to be fought. And so it's like, what does the transition look like? That's the part that scares me. And then now make it a more mundane one where it's like the transition lasts 30 years. So there's plenty of time to react, but it's a whole bunch of years like this where you go from 12% unemployment to 16. And of the 16%, 10 are just people that have ejected out of the economy because they're just, it's despair. The only job that they're ever going to find meaning in is going to be something manual, but now all that's done by robots because robots are just way better at it. They don't complain. They're not likely to be a lawsuit. They don't need breaks. They're way more efficient. They're way more consistent. I mean, just the host of advantages that then will show up as lowered costs to people. So it's like a lot of people are going to go, I was having trouble making ends meet, but I've kept my job and now costs are going down. So it's like, yeah, we have a 16% unemployment, but life's pretty good. And the government is like making sure they don't starve. So, and then it's 20%. And now you start getting like roving bands of young men that do really troubling things. And you're like,
Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like where that's going. But like, you know, we wall off our neighborhoods and right? So it'll be like this thing where we sort of limp along and you're getting an underclass of people, and that underclass, they're doing a lot of drugs, they're being violent, but we can like sort of keep them at arm's length, and we build prisons for effectively free, and they're guarded by AI bots. And so it's like, yeah, we're now incarcerating like 7-10 million people, but like,
energy,
you know what I mean? It's getting cheap. So it like just doesn't get so bad.
Can I play a dirty leftist for a second?
Well, let's go. Tim Riley coming in.
Right now, we have data centers spinning up, and local municipalities are subsidizing those data centers, taking the energy costs, passing them on to customers to get those data centers there.
Yep, crazy.
Hypothetically speaking,
yep,
we continue in that trend.
Yep.
Elon gets a crazy government subsidy to start the Optimus program to make them all. So now every police department is half robot. It's 50% off. So all police departments get for 50% budget reduction, but Elon gets a big tax break for that. We extrapolate that. So we have these gains in more robotics in our streets, more data centers nationally. energy is effectively lower cost, but the costs are now spread to the people, and those economies begin to break. We don't have that abundance where freeze everything and we're starting to give people subsidies away. Because just like the 41 million people on Snap, we're not about to give 82 million people Snap. Forget that. Y'all need to go pull yourself up from your bootstraps. And we just kind of have this affected population of people falling off of the property ladder. So to your point, those gated communities now become smaller, but they're really thriving. The 10% that Ray Dalio says that's propping up the economy, that they're propping up now the entire world now because Optimus robots are in every major country, every developed nation. But that bottom 60% is now, let's say, bottom 65% that's really kind of getting to it.
Yeah.
If the age of abundance never really comes, does this just become a Great Depression style like error that
if you elect Mom Donnie, yes. Yeah. If you do bad policies, this will be a nightmare of biblical proportions. Because if you march yourself into the Great Depression, that is that's an own goal that is a decade or more long of just a lot of human suffering. But good policies can keep that from being a problem. So, for instance, the fact that China outproduces us on an energy basis that is, I don't know that it's an order of magnitude, so let's say that hyperbolically, but orders of magnitude more than us. Yeah. It's like such a grotesque number that you know it's possible, okay? So this is a regulation problem. And if we were to do policies that hamstring us, that where we're distributing the burden to people, the taxpayer, that is so wild and stupid and completely unnecessary that I am aghast. So if we do that, bad things will happen. If we realize that small government is the goal, small government is the goal, innovation is the goal, thriving middle class, goal, then we have the right orientation and we can start making choices where it's like, okay, cool, we've got all these robotics, costs are coming down, that's amazing. So now we have to make sure that we have a thriving middle class. We have to make sure that the age of abundance it's not going to be evenly distributed in the beginning. It's never going to be evenly distributed. So you get people to work hard by saying, if you work hard and outperform other people, then you can have more than they have. You never, ever, 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 ever want to break that. Brutus, which is why I say socialists and communists are the same thing. So on that side, if you're protective of that, then you're going to be in good shape. But it really will, one, require us to be evaluating what's actually happening, because this is on the other side of the technological singularity. So I can give you like principles and guidelines, but I can't tell you the specifics of how this is going to roll out.
Because it's on the other side of that.
Right. But for instance, energy needs to be cheaper for everybody. So you can't make energy cheaper for businesses and not taxpayers. You can't make, so I guess on this, you might do special energy zones or something like that. But basically, you want one rule set to rule everybody in terms of access to those public works. So right now, we're asking taxpayers in certain areas to bear an unusual burden. That's wild. So as they begin to reap these benefits, distributing free energy to the people, that is hugely important. You cannot let those wins just accumulate up to the businesses. This is where the government has to say, we're going to make these policies, we're going to build this infrastructure, we ourselves are going to point tax dollars at this, but it is to benefit the population as a whole.
Interesting. How's the community doing on this?
We've got 6 different super chats.
Hey, there we go.
Let's go.
First
Today's a big day for super chats. I love it, you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Super chat. First from Tim Riley, and it's a $50 super chat.
Hey, shout out to
Tim
Tim
came
Riley.
hot.
Thank you,
Hot.
sir.
To Tom,
Thank you.
I don't see how meaning follows us into the simulation. Our loops will only deepen. The code will remember our cages. The loop becomes the prison. Life is raw and unpredictable, and it's more thrilling than any illusion. How do we go beyond the loop?
Okay, so you've got base assumptions in there that I don't agree with. So first of all, assume that you are in a simulation now. The illusion is very compelling, very compelling. even if I can't get you to agree that you're actually in a simulation, I will just tell you this: your brain is simulating everything. You are not seeing. First of all, you're not seeing anything. You are building an internal model of the world based on photons and certain wavelengths, but you are not actually seeing the world. Remember, you see 0.0035% of the available electromagnetic spectrum. You think you see everything because your brain builds a simulation. Okay, so we already live in just that sense of a simulated real universe, if you want to call it that. There are meaning and purpose is entirely psychological. Once people wrap their heads around that, your parents give you a blueprint for what matters. And this is how you can get people to believe wildly different. You can get Heaven's Gate, where they all killed themselves because they believed that the aliens were coming to pick them up. You can get all those people that sold all their stuff because they actually believed the rapture was going to happen. That was wild. You can get Israel to bomb Gaza. You can get Hamas to break people's legs, all because they believe in different gods. You can just get people to do a whole bunch of crazy shit based on what they decide has value. I am now obsessed with anime in general, One Piece specifically, and the One Piece trading card game. But I just decided to become obsessed. And because I know how to manipulate my own mind, it's now neurochemical. And so I actually get a response from it. It's wild. So we decide what has meaning and purpose in our lives. Whatever you repeat, you're going to become, because that thing will take on weight inside of your brain. And so if we all say that you have no physical needs anymore, what people will end up doing is there's no game to play. And people don't realize the reason video games work is because it's just riding on the back of the evolutionary architecture in your brain designed to get you to go face a saber-toothed tiger, a coming winter, to store up resources, and to survive, to outcompete the other people in your village, to outcompete the next village, to get the hottest chicks, to have the most kids, to be able to sock away the most grain, whatever. There's 1,000 different strategies you can run. But that's all. When people talk about gamifying something, they are talking about progress, full stop. So evolution gave us that. So now all of that's stripped away from you because you don't need to play that game. So then you start going, well, what is going to give me that same feeling? And some people are going to go, I want to live life on like sicko hard mode. And so I'm going to Mars. And they'll do that. Some people are going to say, this is humans only, baby. We got to return to our roots. They're going to move out into the forest and they're going to live in communes. Some people are going to do drugs, a lot of drugs, because ultimately progress is really just about manipulating your neurochemistry anyway, trying to fuck with your dopamine loops. So you're going to go in.
Dopamine.
Yep. And you're going to do drugs. And then you're going to get some people that are going to be like me, and they're going to not only build virtual worlds, but they're going to exist inside of those worlds. And the reason to exist inside of that virtual world is you can perfectly tune a sense of progress towards something that's thrilling. Now, when you have real relationships, I'll use that word, with AI that are indistinguishable, or real relationships because it's a shared simulation with other people that you know has a body somewhere jacked into the matrix, then all of a sudden you realize, oh, the things inside the simulation only matter or don't matter based on what I choose to believe about them. And those beliefs are a choice. And people like me will have no problem investing psychologically. I'll get my wife to exist inside of the same thing that I'm in. So we'll be on the same quest, at least some of the time. And the relationships that I form with AI inside the game will be real. This is over 30, 50 year time horizons. Okay. This is not going to happen in the next 7 years, but you will find, I don't think there's another option. Those are your 4 options. So I don't expect everyone to be with me in the simulation, but I know that there's going to be a lot of people.
Team commune.
Let's go. That's where you're at?
Yeah. I already know how to garden. Yeah. I
Solid.
can unplug. Yeah. You know. I like
Cool.
nudity.
Get after
I just
it.
Walk around swinging.
Hey,
my commune.
Let's go.
Seems way better.
That's a very special kind of commune, but I'm here for that. Enjoy. Bonjour.
Commune as well. Next up from Adult 101. What happens when the US dollar collapses? What are you doing so your stored value holds its value? Move to another country and use a different currency, or just accept another form of currency within the US? Bitcoin?
Sorry, someone said something in the chat and my mind is spinning on it so hard that I realize you're halfway through that and I haven't heard a single word. V is the villain, right? In, I forget the name of the movie, V for Vendetta. I'm pretty sure he's the villain. Somebody's saying that I'm V. I'll have to look that one up more. I forget the story. Sorry, start over.
What happens when the US dollar collapses? What are you doing so your stored value holds its value? Move to another country and use a different currency, or just accept another form of currency within the US, Bitcoin and gold?
So my biggest hedge is Bitcoin and gold. So I have my biggest single position is Bitcoin. After that, it would be not necessarily the U.S. stock market, but the stock market. And then after that, it's gold. Those would be my three biggest positions. And then actually debt is 3, U.S. debt, then gold. So all of my U.S. debt is short term, and I'm migrating slowly out of that into more gold. So I don't trust myself to see the future well enough. Right now, there's no clear winner other than the U.S. dollar. So from that perspective, I'm not super paranoid that something is going to replace it. I think the reason that the gold price is so high is that that's going to be for certainly the older generation. Anybody that's sort of north of 35 is probably just going to default to gold over Bitcoin. Younger people, I think, will pour almost exclusively into Bitcoin. So the real thing is, though, I am so paranoid that I have something wrong, that the future is just going to be different in a way that I can't anticipate, that I really subscribe to the Ray Dalio model of you want 12 to 15 uncorrelated assets. I don't think I have that yet. That's like the next level of investing that I need to learn about to really get like truly diversified. But yeah, I am Captain Hedge. You are never going to find me doing the Michael Saylor strategy. God bless him and his 1,000-pound testicles. But like that life would be so miserable for me. Like I check the price of gold, I check the price of Bitcoin, I check the price of the stock market, but I don't obsess over it. I don't have enough in any one thing. Like if any one of them went to zero, I'd be sad, but like you guys wouldn't notice, like outwardly my life wouldn't change. So it's like, that's where I always want to be. I always want to be like, I don't need to be the smartest man alive. I don't need to bet against the consensus and be right all the time. I resent that the government makes me gamble in the stock market. Like I would much rather just know USD is the shit. Nothing is going to happen to it suddenly because they're not devaluing it. And I just put all my money in government bonds. Do you guys know? You wouldn't even know who I am if the government didn't inflate the money. That is legitimately true. I would be focused. I'd just be doing my other interviews. COVID changed everything for me. And then I would be developing video games. That would be it. Like I got into this because I realized I actually wanted to help people. And once I saw what the real answer was, it just drugged me down a path that changed my entire vision of money, governments, how we're abusing people. So here we are.
Marusha Dark said, we already have rising depths of despair from too many people with nothing to do, made worse by the coming rise in automation. The global birth rate decline is not necessarily a crisis if it's time to meet this reduced demand.
No, the reduction in birth is a catastrophe that is going to manifest in a lot of different ways. First of all economies are a Ponzi scheme, so you need more people coming behind you. Second, I don't know about you, but I want to see us colonize the universe. So that'd be incredible. Even though I'm not the guy that's going to move to Mars, like I'm stoked that some people are going to do that. Read Expeditionary Force. Like if that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what will, but that idea of finding humans all over the place is just very cool for me. So give me the last part of the question again.
Let me bring
The
it back.
global birth rate decline is not necessarily a crisis if it's time to meet his
right.
demand.
So the next part of that, so it is a crisis for the reasons that I just laid out. And then ultimately, I think the thing that we want to be addressing just comes back time and time again to you're living through this big AI transition that's already going to have all of its own meaning crisis, terrifying concerns, all of that, but you don't want to do anything to exacerbate it. So focus on as if that's never going to come, right the ship here, right now, today. See the deaths of despair as a tragedy that we want to help people on the other side of. Help people find meaning and purpose. Help people understand that meaning and purpose has to be defined, that you're not born with passion. You're not born with purpose. You pick one and then you invest in it. I think we need to help a lot of people down that path.
That was a bar right there. You're not born with passion. You pick one and then you invest in it. I think so many people are like, it's going to find me and I'm going to get matched
no, this
to
was
it.
wild. The way that I used to say it for people is that passion is not an archaeological dig. It's an architectural build. So you're not turning within yourself to uncover something that was always there, which is why if Steve Jobs was born 10,000 years ago, he'd still be one of the premier people in the village because he's just very smart and his brain works in a certain way and he's able to lead, he's able to be independent and think for himself. Like he's just got that thing. But he wouldn't have been obsessed with the iPhone. He wouldn't necessarily have even been obsessed with technology. So it's that he was born in this moment that it manifests with those things. So if you think of it just like 10,000 years ago, nobody would have been into Jesus Christ because he had not been born. So the gods that God-shaped hole is going to create space for will be different throughout time, but everyone has a God-shaped hole in their heart. So all of those things will change, but recognizing how we are built. So what you will respond to throughout your life or in your life in this moment is going to be very different. But there can't be, for humans to be what they are, it can't be that your passion is buried inside of you and you just have to discover it. It needs to be something real. You need to figure out what things you respond to disproportionately. But once you find a thing that you respond to disproportionately, there might be 5 or 6 things. You could turn any one of those into the gravitational center of your life. Once you realize that's a decision, life gets a lot more interesting.
Cool. We got 3 more. First up from Michael Gellner, listener since 2019. Thank you, Tom.
Let's go.
Your impact ignited going back to full-time college after being a 2-time dropout, and now graduated with 2 degrees with honors, finance and business, now starting a business and pursuing politics.
Let's go.
Yo. So,
good policies, okay? Good policies.
Good policies,
reallocate the budget. You don't need to raise taxes in order to help poor people. And fix housing in your local district. Get BlackRock out of there.
That's almost true. Right now in America, you do have to raise taxes, by the way. You first have to balance the budget, just to be clear. But yes, yay. I am very, very excited. That's amazing. I live for comments like that. Thank you.
From Dan,
congratulations.
Just wanted to say thank you. Was bummed I missed the lives. Don't ever think you're screaming into the void, Tom. 2% of our population.
Who said that?
Is a lot of people. One more.
Who said that?
Dan Clark.
Dan, thank you, man. Thank you. I will try to hold that in my mind the next time I feel like I'm screaming into the void. I really appreciate that.
And the last one from Nunya. Tom and Drew should dress up as rubber chickens on the Halloween stream.
Why rubber chickens?
I don't know, but the mental image is hilarious.
We are going to dress up, but we are not dressing up as rubber chickens. It was so funny. I was going hard in the paint on, I don't dress up for Halloween. This is some bullshit. And then Drew, as a producer, was like, well, hold on. For the episode, that would be good. And I was like, God
for
damn
the
it,
numbers,
Drew.
Tom.
So we're going to dress up. We're going to dress up. Make sure you show up on Friday.
Yes, dress up. We're dressing up. Everybody drop your costumes in the Discord, general chat. We can't see you, so make sure I want to see you guys dressing up and stuff like that. Happy Halloween. And for those who don't celebrate, give them candy, pass out a Bible, whatever you do. Don't be a buzzkill.
Nice. I like that. That was a good PSA. All right. We have more?
Nope, that's it.
All of them. Okay. Oh, God, there was something I was going to say. What was it? Oh,
Drew's
dear
the best.
Lord.
Yay.
Oh, no, I want to public. Yes, Drew. By the way, Drew, in fact, I thought this earlier, but you were saying something, and so I didn't want to interrupt. You have produced the shit out of this show. I am so grateful to you. I was thinking about that today. This is my favorite piece of content I've ever created. I love doing these lives so much. It's not our highest performing yet, but I do love them, and I thank you so much. But what I was going to say is I want to commit because I like to be held accountable to the things. So my goal, this I'm not committed to, but the next thing I am. But my goal for 2025, I'm going to have watched by December 31st, 250 episodes of One Piece, the anime. By December 31st of 2026, I will be caught up.
Okay. What episode are you at now?
I'm at like 68.
68?
Yeah.
Okay. And then how many episodes are there total?
Like 1,126 or
Wow.
something.
Okay, that's a scale.
Yeah. No, bro, we got to go hard.
You're going quest on your anime consumption.
Here's the thing. Lisa was literally laughing at me because she was like, when you set your mind to something, she's like, even when it's something like this, she's like, you are a freak.
Nice.
So yeah, no, I've clocked 68 episodes in like 2 weeks.
Nice. Yeah.
So I'm on a pace.
Straw Hat is going crazy in the chat right now.
Pace.
It was your fault, Straw Hat. We couldn't do it without you. You've been holding the One Piece down for a while.
Oh, man.
You the realest one.
For real. But like, if you're at all into impactful children's entertainment, One Piece is goated. It is goated. It is really like the morals in that thing are dope, but it is illicit literature. It is stuff where the kid is going to look over their shoulder a little bit because like, oh man, mom's not going to love this. She's probably not going to stop me from watching it. It was a little bit how I felt about Alanis Morissette when that song came on and my mom heard for the first time, Would She Go Down on You in a theater? And I was like, oh God, my mom's going to freak out. It was like, you're not going to get grounded for it, but mom is going to turn like a sideways glance to it. Anyway, it's incredible. I'm loving it. And as somebody who is on a deep mission to make some of the greatest children's entertainment in the world, it feels very productive as well. All right, guys, that's it. Make sure you join us for Halloween on Friday. Be ready for it. Love you guys all. Thank you for another wonderful episode, and we will see you next time. Later.